Chapter 1027. What kind of place do you think this is? Do you think you can say no? The man obviously didn't take Chu Liuyue's words to heart. He smiled sinisterly, and his eyes were full of contempt and provocation. You are an outsider. This is your first time in the world of divine ruins. There are some rules that you don't understand. I, Lu Yi, will teach you. Anyone who came here would more or less have to do something. Otherwise, this cave heaven cliff is extremely dangerous. It's not certain if you can get out. As he spoke, he sneered coldly and his gaze swept over Dugumabao. It would be a pity if something happened to such a beautiful and cute child. Don't you think so? Chu Luyue narrowed her eyes. Are you threatening me? How can it be a threat? I'm just telling the truth. As Lu Yi spoke, the corners of his mouth twitched, revealing an oppressive smile. I don't want to waste time. You'd better hand over the interspatial ring to me. As soon as his voice fell, the aura on his body suddenly burst out. Chu Liuyue's pupils shrank. A demigod expert. At this level, she couldn't beat him no matter what. Thinking about it carefully, those who could break into the world of divine ruins from the outside were all experts who had stepped into the realm of gods. Among them, the weakest was a demigod. If Lu Yi wasn't strong enough, he wouldn't dare to do this. Brother, let's talk about it. Chu Liuyue's sharp look quickly disappeared and replaced it with a kind smile. Lu Yi sneered. You know what's good for you. Give it to me. Chu Luyue touched the interspatial ring as if she was really going to take it off. At the same time, a trace of embarrassment appeared on her face. Actually, this ring is very important to me, so, why are you dawdling? If you can't take it off, I'll take it myself. As Lu Yi spoke, he strode toward Chu Luyue. So, don't even think about it. A cold light flashed in Chu Luyue's eyes. At the same time, the peach blossom on the inner side of her wrist suddenly bloomed. Lu Yi thought to himself, not good. He immediately summoned a long saber and slashed forward. How dare you! Whoosh! The two figures instantly disappeared from where they stood. Clang! The long saber landed heavily on the ground, emitting a crisp sound. Lu Yi quickly looked around, but there was no one. There wasn't even the slightest bit of spatial fluctuation. Cunning! Lu Yi was enraged. A moment of carelessness had actually allowed the other party to escape. But at the same time, doubt arose in his heart. Only those who had completely stepped into the god realm could teleport. A demigod like him could only watch helplessly. However, that woman didn't seem to have used her own power to teleport. Could he have used some yuan instrument? As he thought of this, his heart trembled. An origin tool that could teleport was extremely rare. Chapter 1028. Why? Chu Luyue looked at the people in front of him who had already paid and boarded the teleportation formation. If they can, why can't I? The guard snorted and revealed a sarcastic smile. You have to ask yourselves this. You offended someone you shouldn't have, and you still ask why. Chu Luyue frowned and suddenly understood. It seemed that it was Lu Yi's fault. Chu Luyue had long expected that he wouldn't let it go, but he didn't expect his power and means to be so powerful that he could directly prohibit them from boarding the teleportation formation in such a short time. Logically speaking, this teleportation formation should belong to the Lin family. Who was that Lu Yi to have such power? Chu Luyue calmed down. I'll pay twice the price. The guard didn't even raise his head. Don't think about it. Anyway, we won't let you go up. You, give up. Next. 5 times. Chu Luyue took a step forward. If 5 times is not enough, I'll pay 10 times. The surrounding people quieted down and looked over with different expressions. What a big tone. She actually wants to pay 10 times. Does she know how much the last teleportation formation cost? How dare she boast like this? I think they look a little familiar. Hey, they seem to be the two outsiders who entered the city today. That child has purple hair and purple eyes. Isn't that her? Yes, yes. I heard about it too. It's them. It seems that they really offended someone. Now, it's difficult for them to move at Cave Heaven Cliff. The surrounding people were discussing. Chu Liuyue's heart sank slightly. Sure enough, the guard opposite him shrugged without a smile. I said, no matter how much money you pay, it's useless. If you have the time, you'd better apologize to them as soon as possible so that it won't be too ugly in the end. With that, he waved at the people behind him. What are you waiting for? Don't you want to board the teleportation formation? Hurry up. The people behind Chu Luyue hurriedly stepped forward and pushed her away. Coming. Chu Luyue took 2 steps back and subconsciously pulled Dugu Mobao behind him to protect him. She stood there for a while, then turned and left. Let's go take a look at the other teleportation array. The result was as expected. The other teleportation portal also firmly rejected Chu Luyue. Even the remaining 3 level 3 teleportation arrays were the same. In other words, Chu Luyue and Dugu Mobao no longer had the chance to leave this place and head to other places. In the blink of an eye, it was already night time. Chu Luyue found an inn to rest, but he was not in the mood to sleep. It seems that this Lu Yi's identity is indeed not ordinary. He was even more scheming than she had expected. At this level, he could already be considered a local tyrant. He must be related to the Lin family. Dugu Mobao sat on the chair and said calmly. As for the itinerant cultivators like Chu Luyue, who came from outside, he bullied them even more. This time, he was annoyed by Chu Luyue, so he was ruthless and directly blocked all the teleportation formations. It was obvious that he wanted to force Chu Luyue to bow down. He had forced her into a corner. Before the waiter left, he didn't forget to persuade Chu Luyue to beg for mercy as soon as possible. Otherwise, her days in Cave Heaven Cliff would become more and more difficult. Chu Luyue didn't comment. When there was no one else in the room, she directly burned the letter. He wants me to kowtow and apologize. He thinks he's a big shot. Chu Luyue sneered. Back at ancient Phoenix Mountain, when she met the remnant consciousness of the northern underworld Taizu, she didn't back down. Let alone a mere good-for-nothing rich kid who couldn't be helped. Dugu Mobao looked up slightly, and a faint glow flickered in his beautiful purple eyes. Do you want me to do it? Chu Luyue shook her head. No need. I have my own way to deal with him. She knew Dugu Mobao had his concerns. Although she didn't know why, she didn't want to trouble him unless it was a critical moment. What way? Dugu Mobao frowned slightly. You won't be a match for him if you rely on yourself. Chu Luyue curled her lips into a smile. He has a backer. Why don't we find a more powerful backer? Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 1029. The next morning, Chu Luyue brought Dugu Mobao to the entrance of the Lin clan. The two of them standing in front of the entrance was very eye-catching. Chu Luyue stepped forward and bowed politely. Sirs, please inform the Lin clan's patriarch that my daughter, Dugu Yu, would like to see him. The Lin clan's patriarch was naturally the cliff master of Cave Heaven Cliff, Lin Tianfeng. The two guards looked at each other. One of them asked. Do you have an appointment? Chu Luyue shook her head. No. Do you have an invitation? No. Do you have a letter of recommendation? No. The guard's expression turned ugly. She had nothing, yet she wanted to see him. How bold. He waved his hand impatiently. I won't see anyone who doesn't have that. Chu Liyue smiled. I know it's rude for me to visit you so suddenly, but I do have an important matter to attend to. Please help me, sirs. It's not a matter of whether we help or not. There are many people who want to see the patriarch. If we inform him of any random person's visit, what will happen? Lin Tianfeng is the most important person in Cave Heaven Cliff. How can you meet him just because you want to? With that, the guard urged her to leave. Chu Liyue didn't take it to heart and continued. Sirs, you only need to tell him that the Lin clan's patriarch will be willing to see me. The guard seemed to have heard a joke. Oh. Then tell me, what is it? Chu Liyue put her hands behind her back and said calmly. I can cure fourth young Master Lin's chronic illness. She really said that. Lin Tianfeng was lying on a small bed. When he heard this, he pushed away Lu Yuer's hand that was massaging his temples and stood up abruptly. He looked excited. Lu Yuer's brows furrowed, but she quickly smoothed them out. Although she was already in her 30s, she still looked like a girl in her early 20s because of her good maintenance. Coupled with the mature charm in her eyes, she was indeed very beautiful. However, at this moment, Lin Tianfeng only had the guard's words in his mind. She really has a way to cure Jifei's illness. The guard hurriedly said. Yes. That's what she said. Hurry up. Lin Tianfeng said anxiously. For so many years, his youngest son's health had always been a thorn in his heart. She had tried countless methods to seek medical treatment, but there was no obvious improvement. Naturally, he couldn't contain his excitement. Master, don't be anxious. Since it was related to Jifei, everything had to be done with extra caution. Lu Yuer stood up, leisurely walked to his side, and gently advised him. At the very least, shouldn't you at least ask what rank the heavenly doctor is? Right. Look at me, I even forgot about this. Lin Tianfeng clapped his hands and asked. What grade is she? Chapter 1030. As soon as she finished speaking, the hall fell silent. Lin Tianfeng's face became a little stiff. 7th grade. Chu Liyue nodded slightly. She had no problem refining a 7th grade pill now. As for higher grades, she hadn't tried it yet, so it was better not to say for the time being. A mere 7th grade, and you dare to boast that you can cure my son's illness. Lin Tianfeng was so angry that he laughed. He was so excited before, thinking that he had finally met an expert. Who knew? It was just a 7th grade celestial physician. Chu Liyue raised her eyebrows slightly. A 7th grade celestial physician was definitely an existence that everyone admired in the Tianling dynasty. But here, she was obviously not taken seriously at all. Guards! Kick her out right now. Lin Tianfeng was full of anger. With a flick of his sleeve, he sent someone to do it. Wait. Chu Liyue said calmly. Her voice was very soft, but it carried a kind of pressure and power that couldn't be ignored, making the guards who were about to step forward subconsciously stop in their tracks. Master Lin, just because I'm a 7th grade celestial physician, you won't even give me a chance to try. Are you going to kick me out? A 7th grade celestial physician. You don't even have the qualifications to be the Lin family celestial physician elder. You want me to give you a chance to try? Lin Tianfeng's face was full of anger, and he couldn't help but snort coldly. In your dreams. The lowest level celestial physician in the Lin family was an 8th grade mid-grade. The strongest one could even refine a 9th grade peak pill. And even they couldn't do anything about Jifei's illness. Why would they care about such a 7th grade celestial physician? Lin Tianfeng even felt that the woman in front of him was here to make a fool of him. He glanced at Dugu Maobao from the corner of his eye. If it weren't for the fact that she had a child, he would have already attacked her. Go. If you continue to pester me, don't blame me for being impolite. Chu Liuyue's lips curved up slightly. Patriarch Lin, fourth young Master Lin, was born with a weak constitution and had this illness since birth. But it should have only gotten worse in recent years, right? Lin Tianfeng had already planned to turn around and leave, but when he heard this, his footsteps suddenly stopped. He turned around and looked at Chu Liyue in surprise. Chu Liyue continued. If I'm not wrong, fourth young Master Lin started coughing blood about a year ago. Lin Tianfeng's expression suddenly changed. His eyes were fixed on Chu Liyue as he ordered the guards around him. All of you go down first. Without my permission, no one is allowed to come in. The guards looked at each other in dismay, but they hurriedly responded respectfully. Yes. With that said, the crowd quickly retreated. Soon, only Chu Liyue, Dugu Mabao, and Lin Tianfeng were left in the hall. She frowned and asked in a soft voice, Master, I saw that you chased the guards out just now and was worried that something might have happened, so I rushed in. You won't blame me, right? Lin Tianfeng patted her hand. Why would I blame you for such a small matter? Don't think too much. It's just that I'm discussing something with this Miss Dugu. Lu Yu's gaze turned, as if she had just seen Chu Liyue. When she saw the woman's ordinary face and the child standing next to her, she secretly sighed in relief. These days, she had seen countless little bitches who wanted to use the opportunity to climb up the ranks. They really used all kinds of methods. If she had not strictly guarded the position for so many years, how could she have gotten the position of the matriarch? This must be Miss Dugu. She slowly smiled, her eyes beautiful, but a faint trace of doubt appeared in her heart. This woman seemed to be here to treat Lin Qifei. But looking at her, she didn't seem to be a powerful person. Master, look at Miss Dugu. She's young and has a child. Don't scare her. She said as if she was joking. Lin Tianfeng shook his head. That won't happen. I'm going to ask her to check Qifei's pulse and see what's going on. What? Lu Yu was shocked and blurted out. How can that be? Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 1031. Her voice was particularly abrupt in the quiet hall. Lin Tianfeng frowned. What, you don't think it's a good idea? Lu Yue knew that she had lost her composure and hurriedly smiled to cover it up. No, Master, please don't misunderstand. I just felt a little surprised. This woman didn't seem to be anything special. Why would he agree to let her treat Lin Qifei? To be able to make Master agree, this Miss Dugu must be very capable. As she spoke, she glanced at Chu Liyue. Miss Dugu's celestial physician rank must be very high, right? Chu Liyue smiled faintly. Madam Lin, you flatter me. I'm just a 7th grade celestial physician now. Lu Yue's eyes widened slightly, as if she couldn't believe it. She subconsciously looked at Lin Tianfeng. Lin Tianfeng said. Although Miss Dugu is only a 7th grade celestial physician, she's quite capable. Let her give it a try, she might be able to do it. Lu Yue almost thought that Lin Tianfeng was joking. Are you kidding me? A 7th grade celestial physician is qualified to treat Lin Qifei now. She still remembered clearly how Lin Tianfeng had given the family's 8th grade and even 9th grade celestial physician attitude because he couldn't treat Lin Qifei. What was going on now? Master, I know you're worried about Lin Qifei's health, but we can't just turn to any doctor in a desperate situation. Knowing that Chu Liyue's rank was ordinary, Lu Yue didn't take her seriously anymore. She directly pulled Lin Tianfeng over and said worriedly. This woman's background is unknown. Are you really at ease to let her treat Jifei? You know that Jifei hates strangers the most. If his condition is aggravated. I'm here, what's there to worry about? Lin Tianfeng disapproved of Lu Yuer's worries. A young woman with a child, and an outsider to boot, what could she do? How could he be afraid in the Lin mansion? But, what's more, she has met Jifei before, so she's not a stranger. This was another important reason why Lin Tianfeng agreed to let her give it a try. Lin Jifei was introverted and reclusive. Even the people of the Lin mansion might not be able to talk to him. Since he was willing to talk to this woman, then there was no harm in letting her try. Lu Yuer was secretly shocked. When did this happen? Why didn't she know about it at all? She still wanted to say something, but seeing that Lin Tianfeng had already made up his mind, she tactfully stopped objecting. Then, I'll listen to Master. As long as Jifei can recover, nothing else matters. There was something fishy about this matter. Perhaps in the end, it would all be for naught. Thinking of this, Lu Yue relaxed a little. Lin Tianfeng looked at Chu Lu Yue. Come with me. As the fourth young master of the Lin mansion, Lin Qifei was of noble status, but he lived in a remote courtyard in the southwest corner of the Lin mansion. Thanks to fourth young master's help last time, I haven't had a chance to thank you properly. So this time, I came specially to help fourth young master. Lin Qifei was stunned for a moment before he reacted. He glanced at Lin Tianfeng. This Dugayu was an outsider. Father actually agreed to let her treat him. Could she be a powerful person? Don't waste your time. Lin Qifei's thin lips curved into a faint smile, but his light-colored eyes were full of alienation and coldness. I know my own body's condition. I've already tried so many methods, but none of them worked. He didn't think that the woman in front of him could do anything. Chu Luiyue wasn't discouraged. Fourth young master, you won't know until you try, right? Lin Tianfeng couldn't help but persuade him in a low voice. Yes. Jifei, father knows that you don't want to cause trouble. If it was an ordinary celestial physician, father wouldn't have let her come. This woman does have some skills. Let her take your pulse first, and we'll talk about the rest later. How about it? Hearing Lin Tianfeng's words, Lin Qifei couldn't refuse. He paused for a moment, then finally nodded. All right. Chu Luiyue stepped forward. Lin Tianfeng first handed over a handkerchief and placed it on Lin Qifei's wrist. Chu Luiyue didn't mind, and gently placed his white and slender fingers on it. Digression, I'm so tired. I accidentally gave out the second chapter for free again. Everyone, clear the cache and take a look. Master, there's a letter saying that the Holy Sun's birthday is coming soon. They're asking if we're going to give up on the consort selection because we haven't gone there yet. Chu Luiyue, who was sitting in the room, suddenly paused. She slowly raised her head and looked outside the door. Holy Sun. Birthday. Consort selection. Digression, 6 p.m. Yesterday's update did not refresh. Everyone, clear the cache and take a look. There are already a few long comments. Deliberating, there are only a few days left. Chapter 1033. Lin Tianfeng sighed. Sigh, of course we have to go. It's just that Heavenly Cave Cliff only has one level 1 teleportation formation, and it broke down at this critical juncture. That's why we're delayed. If we want to fix it, we'll need 2 more days. You may leave first. I'll personally write a letter to explain the reason behind this. Yes. Hearing this, the guard hurriedly left. Lin Tianfeng stood in the courtyard for a while before turning to return to the house. His brows were tightly knitted. He was clearly worried about this series of events. On the one hand, the Holy Son's birthday banquet was getting closer and closer. If they delayed any longer, it would not be good. Heavenly Cave Cliff's status was not high to begin with. If they made another mistake at this critical juncture, it would be one disaster after another. On the other hand, he had just learned about Lin Qifei's physical condition, which made him even more upset. He walked in front of the two and looked at Chu Luiyue with a worried expression. "Miss Dugu, look, can't you make an exception? As long as you can cure Ji Fei, the Lin family will definitely treat you as an honored guest in the future." Lin Qifei lowered his eyes, his expression indifferent. "Whether he lives or dies, it's fate. Father, don't force Miss Dugu, it's not that there's no way." Chu Luiyue suddenly spoke. Lin Tianfeng's eyes lit up. "Miss Dugu, please speak." Chu Luiyue smiled and asked in a seemingly casual manner. "I just heard that Master Lin seems to be going to the Holy Son's birthday banquet." Lin Tianfeng paused, but did not hide it. "That's right." Many people knew about this matter now, so there was nothing that could not be said. Chu Luiyue's expression did not change, but the hands in her sleeves slowly clenched. She asked word by word. "May I know the Holy Son's name, is it Rongxiu?" "Miss Dugu, be careful with your words." Lin Tianfeng's eyes suddenly widened, and he subconsciously shouted. "How can we call the Holy Son's name casually?" Chu Luiyue's heart sank. As expected. This Holy Son is indeed Rongxiu. Then, it seems that the birthday banquet and consort selection are all true. Chu Luiyue was silent for a moment, then she suddenly laughed. So, when he said that he had something to do back then, he was talking about these? Patriarch Lin, please don't mind me. I was just asking casually. I didn't mean to offend you. Chu Luiyue leaned against the chair and lightly tapped the armrest with a smile on her lips. However, Dugu Maobao, who was sitting beside her, could clearly feel the cold aura that she was exuding. He raised his eyebrows slightly, and a faint light flashed through his demonic purple eyes. He was to, of course Lin's master, used to. So, if Master Lin and fourth young master don't mind, why don't we go together? That way, we won't delay our business, and on the other hand, I can keep an eye on fourth young master's health and help him recover as soon as possible. What do you think? Lin Tianfeng thought for a moment, and he was a little tempted. That was indeed a good idea. He looked at Chu Luiyue in surprise. Miss Dugu is going there too. That wasn't a place that just anyone could go. Moreover, Dugu Yu was an outsider. It would be even more difficult for her to go. May I know the purpose of Miss Dugu's trip? Lin Tianfeng didn't want to get into trouble. An idea popped up in Chu Luiyue's mind as she suddenly glanced at Dugu Maobao beside her. Dugu Maobao thought to himself, oh no. Chu Luiyue's eyes reddened, and she said in a low voice, I'm not afraid of being laughed at, but this time, I brought Dabeo here alone because... Before she could finish, she covered her face with her sleeves and sobbed. Dugu Maobao's eyelids twitched violently. He clenched his little fists tightly. If not for the last bit of rationality in him, he would have exploded on the spot. Lin Tianfeng and Lin Qifei looked at each other and saw that Dugu Maobao's usually expressionless face had a ripple of emotion. Excited. Angry. We were in love, but he said he had something to do and had to leave for a while. But after waiting for a long time, he didn't come back, so I thought to bring Dabeo along to look for him. The father and son looked at each other and understood. So she was here to look for the child's father. I don't know anything about his background. I only heard him say something like saint, but I don't know anything about his identity. So, if Master Lin and fourth young master can help me this time, Dugu Yu will be very grateful. Chu Luiyue spoke tirelessly. Although it was only a few short sentences, each and every word was filled with sadness and grievance. Anyone who heard it could empathize and be moved. Lin Chi-fei's eyes rippled. Miss Dugu. What's the surname of the person you're looking for? Perhaps I should call you Madam. Chu Lue smiled bitterly. The two of you can call me as before. Who knows if his name is real or fake? Lin Tianfeng stroked his beard. They did occasionally send people to carry out missions outside the divine ruins world. Perhaps some soldier had let Dugu down. He didn't want to get involved in such a dispute, but Ji-Fei couldn't do without her. After hesitating for a while, Lin Tianfeng said, Miss Dugu, your idea isn't impossible. But there's one thing, I hope that after you reach the place, you can wait for us to finish our business before you consider looking for him. As compensation, we can also send people to help you look for him. How about it? As long as they could attend the birthday banquet smoothly, then look for him in private without making a big deal out of it, it would be fine. Chu Lue smiled slowly. Then De Bao and I will thank Patriarch Lin and fourth young master here. Chapter 1034. After the two sides reached an agreement, Chu Lue breathed a sigh of relief. Originally, she wanted to find a backer to deal with Lu Yi, but she didn't expect to get the opportunity to go with them through the level 1 teleportation formation. In this case, the whole thing was meaningless, and she didn't have to take Lu Yi's threats and intimidation to heart. Thus, Chu Lue began to focus on helping Lin Chi-fei recuperate. The illness in the fourth young master's body has been delayed for a long time. If you want to completely solve it, you must be ruthless. Unfortunately, his body is very weak now, and he needs to recover for a while before officially starting. Chu Lue said, took a pen from the side and wrote down a prescription. I'll have to trouble the Lin family head to collect the herbs according to this prescription for refining medicine. Lin Tianfeng hurriedly took it. He first glanced at it and recognized that there were indeed many herbs on it that nourished blood and qi, so he nodded. Okay. These things are available in the residence, I'll send someone to get them. Chu Lue raised her eyebrows slightly. Most of the herbs on the prescription were common herbs, but there were also some very precious and rare heaven and earth treasures. Lin Tianfeng said that they had them in the residence, which showed that they had a deep foundation. In the end, it was a clan of the divine ruins world, Patriarch Lin. What I mean is, please go in person, don't let others do it. Chu Lue smiled. Seeing that you are familiar with these herbs, it shouldn't be difficult, right? The reason why Lin Tianfeng recognized these things was because he had worried too much about Lin Chi-fei over the years. He had almost become half a celestial physician. Hearing Chu Lue's words, he was a little confused and pointed to himself. It's not difficult. But, why do I have to do it personally? Suddenly, his expression changed. You mean, someone will do something to these herbs? I'm a celestial physician, and the news of me coming to treat the fourth young master has probably spread by now. Although fourth young master was born with this illness, it shouldn't have been this serious. It's obvious that someone did something to it. Chu Lue wanted to say something, but hesitated. He fixed his gaze on Lin Tianfeng and saw him frown. I don't know anything else. I only know that you treat fourth young master with sincerity. Therefore, it is only safe to take the medicine from you. After Chu Lue finished speaking, the room fell into a dead silence. Lin Chi-fei raised his eyes slightly and gave Chu Lue a meaningful look. She was rather smart. She had just arrived at the Lin mansion not long ago and had already deduced so many things after taking his pulse once. I understand. Lin Tianfeng said, then turned and left. Of course, he wasn't worried about what Chu Lue would do. Perhaps, the woman in front of him could really cure him. Fourth young master has helped us before. We are just returning the favor. Fourth young master, you don't have to mind. We won't disturb you for now. With that, Chu Luiyue left with Dugu Maobao. After the two figures completely disappeared, Lin Qifei slowly closed his eyes. After a while, a voice came from the side. Fourth young master, do you need us to warn Lu Yi? Lu Yue would help suppress the things that Lu Yi did, and rarely would it reach Lin Tianfeng's ears. But yesterday, Lu Yi sent people to block the level 2 and 3 teleportation formations, intending to lock Dugu Yu and her son in the city. It had already caused quite a ruckus, and they just had to ask around to find out. Lin Qifei waved his hand. No need. This time, he finally met his nemesis. Let him do as he pleases. Yes. Moreover, the Lu family has taken advantage of our Lin family. We might as well take advantage of this opportunity to get rid of them together. Fourth young master has always been a strategist. This time, it's mainly because of Dugu Yu. Lin Qifei smiled. She's also a smart person. Without her help, he really wouldn't have this opportunity. More importantly, his body, if he could really recover, with such ability, I don't know what her husband is thinking. Probably blind. Chapter 1035. When Chu Luiyue brought Dugu Maobao back to the inn, it was already night time. For the sake of convenience and also to keep it a secret, the two of them booked a room. Chu Luiyue wanted to let him have the bed, but Dugu Maobao rejected her outright. According to him, his divine body had already been formed. Even if he did not eat or sleep for a month, there would be no problem. Therefore, at night, Chu Luiyue took the big bed, and Dugu Maobao stayed on the small couch at the side. The two of them had always been at peace. However, today, when Dugu Maobao came back, he flew straight to the small couch and sat cross-legged. Then, he stared at Chu Luiyue with a cold expression. Chu Luiyue had just closed the door when she turned around and saw a purple dumpling emitting cold air. Cough. Chu Luiyue looked away guiltily and moved to the side, wanting to put this matter behind her. However, Dugu Maobao did not let her do as she wished. How long do you plan to use this identity? Dugu Maobao asked coldly. Chu Luiyue rubbed her temples and smiled awkwardly at him. Debao, look, I have no choice. If not, we don't know how long we'll be trapped here. Moreover, I've never admitted that we're mother and son. Meeting Dugu Maobao's cold gaze, Chu Luiyue immediately stopped and changed the topic. Don't worry, when we reach the place and reveal our identities, the truth will be revealed. Actually, she had never taken the initiative to admit that she was Debao's mother, nor did she say that the person she was looking for was Debao's father. She just changed the way she said it, and they automatically made the connection and misunderstood. Alright, Debao, don't be angry, okay? Chu Luiyue put her palms together and smiled brightly. Seeing her like this, the remaining anger in Debao's heart quickly dissipated. He turned his face away. There won't be a next time. I knew Debao was the best. Chu Luiyue couldn't help but rush over, wanting to rub his chubby little face. Dugu Maobao seemed to have sensed something and turned to look at her. Chu Luiyue's hand was just inches away. Her movements suddenly froze. The two of them were silent for a moment. Chu Luiyue made up his mind and quickly pinched his cheeks, pulling a big smile on his face. Why are you pulling a long face all the time? It's better to smile more. After saying that, Chu Luiyue hurriedly picked up the shattered pieces of Will to Live and retreated at an even faster speed. I'm going to cultivate now. As soon as he finished speaking, he had already sat down cross-legged, and a red flame lingered in his palm. Dugu Maobao stared blankly and instinctively reached out to touch the spot where she had just pinched. There seemed to be a trace of warmth left by her fingers. A dark color flashed across his beautiful, almost demonic purple eyes. Although he had changed his physical body, his personality hadn't changed much. In the blink of an eye, the red chess pieces were completely destroyed. When all the light gradually dissipated, Dugu Mabao looked at Chu Luiyue. Round 372, I won. Chu Luiyue supported herself on the armrest of the chair, panting heavily. She was sweating profusely, and the force in her body was almost exhausted. She couldn't help but say with a sad face, You won every round. Why are you counting so clearly? Of course, it's to let you know how weak you are now. Dugu Mabao said calmly. However, your improvement is also very obvious. You've made 23 moves in this round, which is much better than the start. Chu Luiyue's mouth twitched. Thank you for the compliment, but it's not necessary. It was better not to compliment her. 23 moves, she had never been defeated so miserably in the hands of someone before. She rubbed her sore neck and couldn't help but glance at Dugu Mabao. Speaking of which, Debeo, I didn't expect you to be a Xian master too. What level are you now? Previously, she only knew that Dugu Mabao's combat strength was very strong, but she didn't know that his cultivation level was so high as well. At the very least, it was the first time she had seen it in her life. Dugu Mabao said straightforwardly, Now, you just need to know that I'm higher than you. Chu Luiyue was speechless. Let's go. It's time for us to go to the Lin residence. As she spoke, she stood up. At this moment, there was a sudden commotion outside. Then, the door was suddenly kicked open. Dugu, get out here. People came and went on the streets. Chu Luiyue and Wang Chang's sudden jump down attracted a lot of attention. Over there. Chu Luiyue had just stood still when he heard a loud shout from not far away. She quickly glanced in that direction. Dugu Mabao whispered, 3 people in the north and 2 in the south. Their strength is above a rank 8 warrior. It turned out that Louis had directly sent a group of people to surround and intercept her. This road was to the north and south, and now her path was completely blocked. Let's see where you can run to. At this moment, the 2 people upstairs also jumped down together. Just these alone, there were already a total of 8 people. Chu Luiyue's mind raced, gritted his teeth, and headed west. This Lu Yi really thinks highly of me. Chu Luiyue sneered as he moved forward at full speed. He already knows that you can teleport, so naturally, he will be more vigilant against you. Dugu Mabao knew that the situation was urgent and did not care about being hugged by Chu Luiyue again. He put this account on Lu Yi's head. Chu Luiyue and Dugu Mabao went all the way, and the people on the street all dodged. Behind them, Chu Luiyue had already heard the sound of those people chasing after them. Everyone had different expressions, but no one wanted to come up to help. Instead, they all avoided them like snakes and scorpions. Chu Luiyue sneered, but he was not surprised. They must know that these were Lu Yi's people, so who would dare to provoke them? Originally, he thought that they would not go too far in the downtown area. But now, it seemed that this path would not work. Lu Yi, together with his subordinates, were very arrogant. They did not put these in their eyes at all. Since this didn't work, then he had to find another way. Chu Luiyue's thoughts moved, and he directly turned around and headed towards the small street. Damn it! How can this woman be so fast? At first, they did not put Chu Luiyue in their eyes. After all, there were so many of them. Moreover, even if Chu Luiyue could enter the void god realm, his strength was not weak. It would be inconvenient for him to bring a child with him. They did not expect that after chasing for a while, they were still a distance away from Chu Luiyue. Don't worry, she won't be able to escape. This heavenly cave cliff is full of our people. She will fall sooner or later. Her speed seems to be slower than before. Chase after her. The surrounding noise gradually dissipated, and Chu Luiyue entered a remote and quiet place. At this time, the people behind had already caught up. One of them directly attacked and threw out a force. Chu Luiyue hurriedly dealt with it. Then, like a headless fly, he crawled into an alley. "You're courting death." When the people chasing after him saw this, they looked at each other and laughed proudly. Swoosh! Swoosh! The group of people divided into two groups and attacked from the front and back. Chu Luiyue entered the alley and seemed to realize that something was wrong. Just as he was about to turn around and retreat, the entrance of the alley was already blocked. "Where do you think you're going?" A few burly men lined up in a row, easily blocking her way. Chu Luiyue's expression changed slightly. Then, he quickly looked behind him and saw a few people quickly appearing behind him. They had completely surrounded him in this narrow and quiet alley. The atmosphere fell into a stalemate. The man in the lead looked down at Chu Luiyue. "Do you want to leave by yourself, or do you want us to bring you away?" Chu Luiyue paused. "What if I don't choose? You don't know what's good for you." Seeing that Chu Luiyue was not going to give in, they lost their patience. The man in the lead waved his hand. "Take her back. As long as she's still alive." After saying that, the few of them were about to attack when they saw the woman suddenly smile. Her smile was light and bright, and her eyes were like stars. It made her originally very ordinary face look lively and beautiful. "Are you guys coming one by one or together?" Hearing this, the few men were stunned. Then, one of them sneered as if he had heard a joke. "You want to fight us? With just you?" Chu Luiyue tilted his head. "With just me." Chapter 1038. Chu Luiyue seemed to sense something. She looked up at him and smiled. "Fourth young master, what's wrong?" Looking at that pair of clear eyes, Lin Jifei withdrew his line of sight and shook his head gently. "Nothing. I'll have to trouble Miss Dugu for my condition." Chu Luiyue smiled deeply. "Fourth young master, you're welcome." She walked over to check Lin Jifei's pulse. "Before I go into refined pills, I'd like to check on fourth young master's condition." Lin Jifei stretched out his hand. His sleeve, embroidered with bamboo leaves, was pulled up slightly, revealing a slender, white wrist. One could even see the veins on it. Chu Luiyue raised her hand. Lin Tianfeng suddenly handed over a handkerchief and was about to put it on his wrist. Lin Jifei raised his eyes and glanced at him. He said indifferently, "Thank you, father. But since I've already agreed to Miss Dugu's help, there's no need for this." Lin Tianfeng was stunned. Surprise flashed across his eyes. He said, "No need." But didn't he hate being touched the most? Because there was once someone who pretended to be a celestial physician and took advantage of the opportunity to take his pulse. Lin Jifei had been very cautious in this regard ever since. But now, he actually trusted Dugu so much. Lin Tianfeng was puzzled. But seeing his calm expression, he didn't continue and put away the handkerchief. Okay, then please continue, Miss Dugu." Chu Luiyue didn't seem to notice the confrontation between father and son. She smiled faintly and stretched out her hand to check his pulse. Compared to yesterday, Lin Jifei's aura was clearly stronger. Although it couldn't be compared to a normal person, it was much better than his initial condition. Chu Luiyue nodded and injected a stream of force into his body. Then, she followed the same procedure as yesterday and did it again. Lin Jifei's expression was one of forbearance. Throughout the entire process, he did not let out a single cry of pain. However, his complexion became even paler, and many fine beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. He looked very miserable. Lin Tianfeng, who was watching from the side, was scared witless. "So, this is how Dugu treats Jifei," Yesterday, he had left early and didn't see it. Today, when he suddenly saw it, his heart almost jumped out of his throat. There were even a few times when Lin Tianfeng's heart ached too much. If it weren't for Ji Fei's constant signals to calm him down, he would have opened his mouth to shout for them to stop. This time, Chu Luyue helped him clean up some of the strange things that had accumulated in his Yuan meridian. To her, this was also a huge drain. When it was over, she let out a long sigh. All right. I'll go refine medicine first. Fourth young master, you can rest and recuperate for now. Lin Jifei saw that she looked a little tired, so he asked, what's wrong? Miss Dugu, you also seem to need a good rest. I've been sick for many years, so a little more won't make a difference. Why don't we wait for Miss Dugu to recover before continuing? Lin Tianfeng expressed his agreement. That's right. Although I'm not a celestial physician, I know that celestial physicians often expend a lot of energy when refining pills. Miss Dugu, you see, thank you for your concern, Patriarch Lin and Fourth Princess. I know what I'm doing and won't do anything rash. Chu Luyue stood up and smiled. More than anyone else, I hope that this pill refinement will succeed on the first try. Naturally, I will make preparations. The two of you don't need to worry. However, there's one thing, this pill refinement will take about a day and a night. I hope Patriarch Lin can help protect me. If it were someone else, they most likely wouldn't have the guts to directly ask Lin Tianfeng to protect them. Generally speaking, only the most powerful 9th-grade celestial physician in the clan could ask Lin Tianfeng for help. But in the face of Chu Liyue's bold proposal, Lin Tianfeng agreed without hesitation. No problem. As long as she could take care of Ji Fei in the end, this was nothing. I've already ordered someone to arrange a room for Miss Dugu to use for pill refinement. It's not far from here. Also, I wonder if Miss Dugu still needs something like a medicinal cauldron. Lin Tianfeng asked tentatively. Our Lin family happens to have a collection of medicinal cauldrons that are very useful for pill refinement. Miss Dugu, thank you for your kindness, Patriarch Lin. But I have my own medicinal cauldron, so I don't need to borrow yours. Chu Luyue declined with a smile. Lin Tianfeng was slightly disappointed. Then, all right. Dugu was an outsider, so her medicinal cauldron shouldn't be any better. He had wanted to provide her with a better medicinal cauldron so that she could refine pills more smoothly, but he didn't expect her to be so uninterested. However, Lin Tianfeng knew that most celestial physicians were a little arrogant. Since she had said so, there was no need to persuade her anymore. Then, Chu Luyue took the medicinal herbs to the room specially set aside for her pill refinement. At the door, Lin Tianfeng looked at Dugu Maobao and asked, Miss Dugu, since you want to focus on pill refinement, why don't we take care of this child for the time being? Dugu Maobao frowned. Chu Luyue hurriedly said, Thank you, Patriarch Lin, but this child is afraid of strangers. Let him go in with me. Lin Tianfeng found it a little strange. Wouldn't such a small child be a hindrance if he went in? But, it just so happens that Debao is preparing to start learning celestial physician. It's not a problem to let him follow along. Chu Luyue added. Lin Tianfeng choked. If he wanted to learn from his mother, there was nothing for outsiders to say. At this time, Lin Jifei, who was next to him, also opened his mouth. Chapter 1039. It was Lu Yu's voice. Lin Tianfeng looked up and saw Lu Yu hurrying in from outside the courtyard, her face full of anxiety. When she reached the courtyard gate, she was stopped by a servant, as expected. Mistress, please wait. Lu Yu's already anxious mood worsened when she was stopped. She was the mistress of the Lin family, but she didn't even have the right to enter this small courtyard. She hadn't been able to take a single step in all these years. Because Lin Qifei lived here. The entire Lin family couldn't enter at will. Even Lin Tianfeng had to send someone to notify them. However, the other members of the Lin family had more or less entered, but she hadn't been allowed even once. Everyone in the Lin family knew that Lin Qifei didn't like her as a stepmother. Even if she had become the mistress of the Lin family, he still didn't care about her. But no matter how much hatred she felt, Lu Yu wouldn't show it in front of these people. So she stood obediently outside the door and looked inside with a face full of anxiety. Soon, Lin Tianfeng came over. "What's wrong? What's the hurry?" Lin Tianfeng pulled Lu Yu aside as he walked. Lu Yu's heart felt stifled again, but she didn't show it. She only grabbed Lin Tianfeng's arm anxiously with tears in her eyes. "Master, Yu rarely asks you for anything, but this time, Yu really has no other choice," she cried pitifully, and Lin Tianfeng's heart ached for her. "Don't cry. What's going on? I'll definitely help you." Only then did Lu Yue wipe away her tears and say intermittently, "It's about Lu Yi." A trace of impatience flashed across Lin Tianfeng's face when he heard this name. "He's really been bullied this time," Lu Yu complained tearfully. Lin Tianfeng said indifferently, "He has always been the one bullying others. When has anyone ever been able to bully him?" Lu Yue knew that he never liked Lu Yi, so when Lu Yi made trouble, she tried her best to suppress it and not let it spread here. But it was different this time. "Master, you don't know, but several of Lu Yi's subordinates were beaten half to death this time. Their tendons were also cut off. They were stuffed into boxes and sent to Lu Yi's door." If this wasn't a threat, then what was it? Lin Tianfeng's expression changed slightly. Really? There were probably not many people in the entire Heavenly Cave Cliff who would dare to do such a thing. Why would Yu lie to you? He came just now, and his clothes were stained with blood. Lu Yuer's eyes flashed with resentment. She really hated the people who treated Lu Yi like this behind his back. So this time, she came to complain tearfully. Things had turned out like this. If she couldn't help Lu Yi, then in the future, many people in Dongtian Cliff would ridicule and abuse him. Lin Tianfeng frowned. "Do you know who the person is?" Lu Yue was stunned for a moment and hurriedly said, This. I didn't have time to ask. But the person who dares to do this in Dongtian Cliff must not be a simple person. In Yuer's opinion, this time, maybe it's because of the Lin family, maybe. Although Lu Yi was not a member of the Lin family, who didn't know his relationship with the Lin family. Daring to be so ruthless to him, they obviously didn't put the Lin family in their eyes. Wasn't acting wildly in the Lin family's territory a provocation to the Lin family? Lin Tianfeng frowned when he heard this. "Master, why don't you let Lu Yi come over now and talk to you personally?" Lu Yue asked tentatively. Lin Tianfeng pondered for a moment, looked back, and shook his head. "Not today." "Why?" "I have something to do today. Tell him to come back tomorrow." Although Lu Yi's matter was not small, it was not as important as Zhifei's elixir. Dugyu asked him to help protect her, so he must not go back on his words. Otherwise, if something went wrong, who could bear the responsibility? Hearing Lin Tianfeng's words, Lu Yue almost guessed something. She couldn't help but take a look inside. You're busy with Zhifei's matter." Lin Tianfeng didn't hear anything wrong in her voice and just nodded. "You go back first, just wait for a day. Tomorrow at this time, bring Lu Yi over." With that, he turned around and planned to go in. "Master," Lu Yue shouted unwillingly. Lin Tianfeng glanced at her and pondered for a moment. "Why don't you send someone to investigate first and see what's going on? I'll deal with this matter tomorrow." After saying that, he ignored Lu Yue and walked straight in. Lu Yue looked at his back gradually disappearing and slowly clenched her fists. Her delicately manicured nails dug deep into her palms, stinging. She suddenly woke up, took a deep breath, and turned to leave. What? He won't see me. Hearing Lu Yuer's words, Lu Yi suddenly jumped out of his chair. I've already been bullied to the point of being on top of my head. How can he still be so indifferent? Even if he doesn't do it for me, he has to consider the Lin family's reputation. What are you shouting for? Lu Yuer was also very irritated and reprimanded. You're not his son, he naturally won't care about you. In the past 2 days, a celestial physician came and said that she could cure Lin Qifei's illness. Of course he's nervous. Lu Yi couldn't help but sneer. It's been so long, how many celestial physicians have come? He still hasn't given up, huh? That Lin Qifei is just waiting for death. Maybe this time, on the way there, Lu Yuer gave him a warning glare. Although this is my residence, it's still the Lin family. Watch your words. If you have the time, why don't you tell me in detail who's so bold to do these things? Lu Yi was a little guilty. In the end, he wanted to rob the other party first. Chapter 1040. Dugu Mabao acutely sensed a faint, terrifying aura. He did not continue the topic. This woman was terrifying when she went crazy. Let Rong Xiu bear the consequences himself. Whoever made a mistake should bear the consequences. Whoever hid the truth should bear the consequences. As Chu Luyue counted the herbs and lined them up, she glanced at Dugu Mabao in a seemingly unintentional manner and asked in a seemingly smiling manner, "Don't you think so, Debao?" Dugu Mabao nodded reluctantly. Boom. A ball of red flames suddenly burned in the heavenly square cauldron. Dugu Mabao's eyes twitched. But at least the name is real. Chu Luyue controlled the flames in the heavenly square cauldron with one hand. She waved her other hand and threw a red fish-sized 10,000 fragrance immortal fruit into the cauldron. The dancing red flames swarmed forward and devoured it completely. Soon, the 10,000 fragrance immortal fruit was refined into a ball of light red powder. A faint, sweet, and slightly bitter aroma filled the air. Otherwise, it would be impossible to find it in this vast world. Chu Luyue smiled faintly and said slowly, as if she was teasing him. The dancing flames reflected in her eyes, making it hard to fathom. Dugu Mabao suddenly regretted following her in. Waiting outside didn't seem like a bad idea. Debao, you said that I lost my memory. Why does the whole world know except for me? Chu Luyue asked lazily as she threw the second herb into the cauldron. It was a cocklebur root as thick as an arm. The red flames in the heavenly square cauldron split into two and wrapped around it tightly. Then, it quickly tightened and burned crazily. Following a series of ear-piercing crackling sounds, the green and tender skin of the cocklebur root quickly dried up. The bright red juice inside also started to drip down. Dugu Mabao looked at the tightly shut door and the barrier that was glowing faintly. He fell silent. If he didn't use his origin power, he wouldn't be able to open the barrier and leave. Debao, why aren't you saying anything? Chu Luyue raised his eyebrows slightly and glanced at him. Dugu Mabao changed his sitting position and turned his face away. You will eventually know what you need to know. Fine, it was as good as not saying anything. Chu Luyue pursed his lips slightly, but he didn't care too much. She did not expect to get anything out of Dugu Mabao. If he was willing to speak, he would have done so a long time ago. Why wait until now? However, this also made her even more certain that he had long known about Rongxiu's identity as the Holy Sun. But until now, they still refused to tell her. Forget it. Anyway, he was about to go, so he could just ask directly when the time came. Thinking of this, Chu Luyue waved his hand. The dozens of medicinal herbs on the side all fell into the heavenly square cauldron. She held her breath and focused her attention, beginning to put all her thoughts on refining medicine. The room was silent. Lin Qifei waited outside the door for a while, but he didn't hear any movement inside. He understood that she must have set up a barrier inside to isolate everything. When he first met her, he didn't think much of her. This woman looked ordinary, but she was bold and meticulous. He didn't know who her master was, for her eyes to be so sharp. If she didn't have that child with her talent, she should be able to create a world of her own in the world of God very quickly. Lin Tianfeng returned quickly. Lin Qifei wanted to leave immediately, but he was stopped. Looking at him. Qifei, the elders have already done according to the method you gave them. That teleportation array should be repaired soon. This time, it's all thanks to you. Lin Qifei smiled faintly, but his eyes were still cold and distant. I just gave some suggestions. The repair of the teleportation array depended on the combined efforts of the elders. It has nothing to do with me. Father, don't take it to heart. You, Lin Tianfeng sighed. I know that you don't want people to know that it was you who did it, so I never told them. You have been very low-key all these years, and this is not the first time something like this has happened. But, you are still the blood of the Lin family. If Dugu can really cure you this time, the Lin family. That's all in the future, and we don't know yet. Father, don't mention it. I'm a little tired, so I'll take my leave. With that, Lin Qifei left without waiting for Lin Tianfeng's reply. Lin Tianfeng couldn't help but sigh when that figure disappeared. So many people wanted to fight for the position of the head of the Lin family, but he wasn't interested at all. He knew that a large part of the reason was that Lin Qifei was worried about his own health. But this time, Lin Tianfeng turned around to take a look. Now, all his hopes were placed on that woman. Time flew by. When Chu Luiyue finally finished refining all the herbs, the moon was already high in the sky. Inside the heavenly square cauldron, all the herbs were separated from each other, looking colorful. All kinds of scents mixed together, forming a unique medicinal fragrance. Although it wasn't the first time Chu Luiyue used the heavenly square cauldron, she couldn't help but sigh. A cauldron that could directly refine such a pure medicinal effect was really hard to find even if one searched the entire world. This also made her more confident of success. Now that the herbs had been refined, the next step was to form the pill. Chu Luiyue made up her mind. Then, she controlled the flame and gradually fused the herbs together. At this moment, the bottom of the heavenly square cauldron suddenly emitted a buzzing sound. Digression, seeing that the monthly votes seemed to have overtaken one place, I angrily added one more chapter. In addition, there are already 36 competitors for the star of the monthly votes. The first batch is already on their way. Thinking of this, Chu Luiyue looked at the medicinal herbs that had just gathered together with a slight headache. Refining medicine required concentration. Fortunately, this was just the beginning, so she could still spare some energy to deal with this accident. However, if it were to do this in the middle of refining the pill, or at the last moment, then, she couldn't guarantee that anything would happen. It won't do this every time. Dugu Mabao paused. Besides, as long as the heavenly square cauldron is here, it won't be able to cause any trouble. Hearing this, Chu Luiyue looked at him with some surprise. Dugu Mabao's evaluation of the heavenly square cauldron was actually so high. She clearly remembered that Taizu had once said that this 2-Tian baby was an item that only powerful experts had, and it was extraordinarily powerful. If the heavenly square cauldron was more powerful than it, then, continue refining medicine. Dugu Mabao glanced outside. The twilight was heavy, and it was quiet. The movement just now didn't spread outside. Don't worry. Chu Luiyue gently nodded and put away this thought. After confirming that the karmic fire below had completely suppressed the 2-Tian baby, she continued to refine medicine. Fortunately, she had been paying attention to this side just now. The red flame wrapped around the medicinal herbs that had begun to fuse, almost isolating all the fluctuations outside, so it was not affected. Chu Luiyue took a deep breath and began to refine the pill. The night passed quickly. When the morning sun shone down and the sky was bright, Lin Tianfeng couldn't help but turn his head to look at the still tightly closed door. This night, there was almost no movement from inside. He waited outside anxiously, but he didn't dare to disturb. What he didn't know was that outside the courtyard, Lu Yue had already arrived with Lu Yi to wait. In order not to disturb the people inside, Lu Yue deliberately didn't let anyone report and just waited with Lu Yi by the wall. Time passed little by little. Lu Yi gradually became a little impatient. "Sister, you are now the mistress of the Lin family. Can't you just say where you want to go? Why do you have to compromise like this?" Look at Lin Qifei's eyes. After dismissing the servants, Louis finally couldn't help but complain in a low voice. Lu Yue glared at him. "What do you know?" This was the only way she could stand on the high ground. Lin Qifei was Lin Tianfeng's favorite son. If he did something excessive, Lin Tianfeng couldn't bear to criticize him. If it weren't for Lin Tianfeng's connivance, would Lin Qifei dare to do this? On the surface, it seemed that she bowed her head to Lin Qifei, but in fact, she was giving Lin Tianfeng face. What was a little grievance? As long as she could make Lin Tianfeng feel guilty, wouldn't it be easy to get whatever he wanted in the future? It was thanks to this that she could reach her current position. Looking at the two of them, it seemed that they had been here for a long time. Before Lin Tianfeng spoke, Lu Yue had already stepped forward and asked with a concerned face. "Master, is the pill done? Is there a cure for Jifei's illness?" Hearing her concern for Lin Qifei, Lin Tianfeng was comforted and the coldness on his face gradually melted. He nodded. "It's done. But as for the specific effects, we still need to see the follow-up." Although Dugayu looked very powerful, he didn't dare to boast before trying the pill. What if he was disappointed in the end? That's good, that's good. Lu Yue patted her chest gently and looked relieved. Seeing this, Lin Tianfeng thought that he had been impatient with her for the past 2 days because he had only cared about Jifei. He felt a little guilty and looked at Lu Yi. "Your sister said that your men were beaten up yesterday. What happened?" Since he was willing to ask, it meant that he was willing to use the Lin family's power to help. Lu Yi nodded quickly and said, "That's right. My 8 subordinates were all beaten unconscious yesterday, stuffed into boxes, and sent to my door. Furthermore, the tendons in their arms and legs had been severed. Brother-in-law, the weakest of my men is a rank 8 warrior. But they were harmed just like that. You must uphold justice for me." Lin Tianfeng frowned. "Then, do you know who the person behind the scenes is?" Lu Yi was not afraid of Lu Yue reprimanding him at this time. Since it had already come to this, he directly said, "It's an outsider. Her name is Dugayu. It's her. She crippled 8 of my men. Brother-in-law, she dared to do this to me. She clearly doesn't put you and the Lin family in her eyes. You must not let her go." Chapter 1043. When Lu Yi said the word outsider, Lu Yue knew something was wrong and secretly glared at him. No wonder he didn't want to say it before, it turned out to be such a disaster. Needless to say, it must be that he went to find trouble with the other party first, and finally forced the other party to kill him. That led to today's situation. She had warned him not to be so presumptuous, but he didn't change. Now, he even dared to hide it from her, and only told the truth in front of Lin Tianfeng. Lu Yue scolded him in her heart, but in the end, he was her brother. Now, there was no other way. If she didn't help him, what else could she do? However, just as she was thinking about how to help Lu Yi, she heard a familiar name. Dugayu. Lu Yuer's eyes widened in shock, and she looked at Lu Yi in disbelief. Who, did you just say? Lu Yi glanced at her. Dugayu. That's her name. I've already sent someone to check. Lu Yuer's heart trembled violently, and with the last glimmer of hope, she asked in a trembling voice. Then, what does she look like? Please don't be, she looks ordinary, but she has a purple-haired and purple-eyed child, so it's easy to recognize her. As long as brother-in-law is willing to help, we'll find her soon. Lu Yuer's eyes darkened, her legs went soft, and she almost fell to the ground. It's actually that Dugayu. Lu Yi was talking well, but seeing her like this, he quickly went to help her. Sister, why are you? Lu Yuer pushed him away, her face was filled with suppressed anger. Are you done? Lu Yi was even more confused. What's wrong? Wasn't she talking well just now? Why is she so angry in the blink of an eye? He quickly glanced at Lin Tianfeng, but saw that his expression was also very strange. Lu Yi realized that something seemed to be wrong, and his originally proud momentum was suppressed, and his heart was a little nervous. This. How, you want to find Dugayu? Lin Tianfeng suddenly asked. Lu Yi nodded subconsciously. That woman is very cunning. If you can help. Before he could finish, a crisp female voice suddenly sounded. There's no need to trouble Patriarch Lin with such a small matter. When Lu Yi heard this voice, he faintly felt that it was somewhat familiar and subconsciously looked up. A woman was slowly walking out of the courtyard. Her appearance was ordinary, her eyes were like stars, and the corners of her mouth held a hint of a smile. Unexpectedly, she also had a noble charm. Beside her, there was a cute, purple-haired, purple-eyed child following closely behind her. After seeing the scene in front of him, Lu Yi suddenly widened his eyes in shock and raised his hand to point at the approaching woman. I'm right here. Why does young Master Lu have to waste time looking for me? Chu Luyue walked over with Dugu Mabao and stopped 5 steps away from them. Lu Yi almost couldn't believe his eyes. He couldn't help but shout in shock and anger. Why are you here? Why can't I be here? Chu Luyue blinked. Could it be that this is also your territory? Lu Yi choked and hurriedly glanced at Lin Tianfeng. What nonsense are you talking about? Since it's not, then what does it have to do with you that I'm here? Chu Luyue asked slowly. Lu Yi's eyes wandered back and forth between them. He couldn't help but say, You killed my people, and you still have the nerve to ask this. You're such a venomous woman. You're ruthless. Tell me. You're here to harm people, aren't you? Yes. That must be it. Lu Yi shouted unwaveringly. You're just a lowly outsider. You actually want to rebel in this cave heaven cliff. Chu Luyue looked at him in a seemingly smiling manner as if she were looking at an idiot. Young Master Lu, why don't I understand what you're saying? I harmed your subordinates. Why would I harm them for no reason? Of course it's because they went. Halfway through his words, Lu Yi realized that something was wrong and suddenly shut his mouth. If he really said it out loud, then he was the one who was in the wrong. Lin Tianfeng didn't like him very much. After knowing the ins and outs of the matter, he definitely wouldn't intervene in this matter. How would I know why you would do such a thing to them? It's just that you're too vicious. 8 people, and you didn't let any of them go. Young Master Lu, did I hear wrong? You mean? I alone beat up 8 of them. And I even won. Chu Luyue chuckled as if she had heard a joke. You think too highly of me, don't you? Lu Yi was half dead with anger. They're still in my residence. Do you dare to confront them? That's not necessary. Chu Liuyue's smile faded slightly. That scene must not be very good. I'm not interested. As soon as these words came out, Lin Tianfeng and Lu Yue also looked at Chu Liyue. These words, you admit it. Lu Yi took a step forward. His face was full of anger. His face was red, and his eyes were burning with anger. Chu Liyue tucked the stray hair on her cheek behind her ear and smiled. Since young Master Lu thinks that I did it, then I did it. But, so what? So what? In Heavenly Cave Cliff, Louis hadn't seen such an arrogant person for many years. He was so angry that he laughed. Dugayu, don't tell me you don't know who is standing next to you now. You've done such a thing, and you want to pretend that nothing happened. Lin Tianfeng was the head of the Lin family, and also the cliff master of Heavenly Cave Cliff. And Lu Yue was his sister, and also the matriarch of the Lin family. She hurt her own people, and she dared to admit it in front of these people. She was really tired of living. However, Chu Liyue didn't seem to care about his threat. She tilted her head, crossed her arms, touched her chin, and looked at Lin Tianfeng. She asked innocently, head of the Lin family, are you going to punish me? Lin Tianfeng choked. Chapter 1044. Lin Qifei's appearance broke the stalemate. Lin Tianfeng came back to his senses and looked at Chu Liyue with a complicated expression. Miss Dugu, you go and help Qifei first. Chu Liyue smiled faintly. Oh. Then Master Lu. I will take care of things here. Miss Dugu, you don't have to worry. Lin Tianfeng's voice was not loud, but there was a trace of dignity in his tone that could not be disobeyed. Thank you very much, Master Lin. Upon hearing this, Chu Liyue smiled and decisively turned around to leave. Lu Yi's heart skipped a beat. Is he not going to pursue Dugayu's fault? Brother-in-law, she injured 8 of my men. How can I just let it go like this? Lu Yi said as he was about to chase after her. Lin Tianfeng frowned. Lu Yue knew that something bad was going to happen. She quickly stretched out her hand and pulled Lu Yi back. She warned him, Lu Yi. Miss Dugu is Qifei's celestial physician. She has a heavy responsibility on her shoulders. You can't mess around anymore. Hearing this, Louis finally understood why things were so wrong. He gasped and asked in disbelief. Sister, what did you say? Dugayu, she is the celestial physician who took the initiative to treat Lin Qifei 2 days ago. Of course it's her. Isn't it clear enough? Lu Yi was stunned. How is this possible? When he met that woman 2 days ago, she was just an outsider with no identity or background. How long had it been she had become Lin Qifei's celestial physician? So she was the attendant who would go with the Lin family to the saint's birthday banquet. The sudden truth made Lu Yi's mind go blank. Although he was reckless and impudent, he was not completely brainless. If it was any other celestial physician, it would be fine, but now, she was Lin Qifei's celestial physician. And from the looks of it, Lin Tianfeng seemed to trust and protect her. Even Lin Qifei spoke up for her, which was a rare occurrence. Lu Yi knew very well that although he seemed to be lawless at Grotto Heaven Cliff, he was actually relying on the protection of the Lin family. Whether it was Lin Tianfeng or Lin Qifei, they were definitely not people he should publicly offend. After Chu Liyue left, Lin Tianfeng looked at the two of them. He quietly broke away from Lu Yue's arm. Lu Yue's heart sank. She hated herself for not asking clearly before. She had actually caused such a big commotion in front of Lin Tianfeng. You already knew about this? Lin Tianfeng asked calmly. I don't know. Lu Yue immediately denied with tears in her eyes. I asked him before, but he refused to tell me. He said he had to see Master and ask for justice before he would tell me. Who knew? If she knew, why would she bring Lu Yi here? Lin Tianfeng turned a blind eye to her, crying. Of course she didn't know, otherwise she wouldn't have done such a thing. Lin Tianfeng didn't pay much attention to Lu Yue. Every minute and every second was long and painful. His strength seemed to have been exhausted, and his entire body was in so much pain that it was almost numb. However, whenever his mind started to become muddled because of this, there would always be a clear and bright voice that would sound. The force is already halfway through. Fourth young master, continue. The 5 treasures have already passed, and it will be over soon. There is only one step left to complete a small cycle. This voice made him wake up time and time again. Even he himself did not know how he had endured it. In the middle, he vaguely felt as if there was a warm stream of energy pouring into his body, allowing him to recover much of his strength. He wanted to open his eyes, but it was too painful and too tiring. Moreover, he was constantly urged to continue. He knew who was speaking. So, he gritted his teeth time and time again, struggling with all his might to endure it. After an unknown period of time, he finally could not hold it in any longer, and suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Puff! Chu Luiyue immediately looked over. In the pool of black blood, there was a bead. This was it. Chu Luiyue waved his wrist, and a flame quickly flew out, instantly enveloping that bead. Chapter 1045. Bang! A crisp sound was heard. The bead was trying to escape, but it was stopped by Chu Luiyue's barrier. It fell to the ground again, mixed in with the messy bloodstains. If one did not look carefully, it would be hard to notice. Chu Luiyue waved his finger, and a blazing flame flew out instantly. It formed a fist-sized ball, completely trapping the bead inside. Then, the fireball floated up lightly and landed in Chu Luiyue's palm. Chu Luiyue carefully examined the bead inside. It was only the size of a soybean, and because it was covered in bloodstains, he could not see its exact appearance. However, Chu Luiyue could clearly feel that it contained a shocking amount of energy. And this thing was the main culprit that caused Lin Qifei's serious illness. Cough! Cough cough, Lin Qifei coughed violently. Chu Luiyue turned around to take a look. Fourth young master, how do you feel now? Lin Qifei coughed for a while before straightening his back. His face had turned from its initial blood-red color to extremely pale. Only the bloodstains at the corner of his mouth and chin made him look even more haggard. However, his eyes looked much more spirited than before. I'm fine, Lin Qifei waved his hand and looked at her palm as he spoke. When he saw the strange bead that was trapped by the fireball, his expression changed slightly. What is this? Fourth young master should be very familiar with this thing. After all, it has been in your body for decades. Chu Luiyue's words made Lin Qifei's eyes widen in shock. You mean, that's right. It's its existence that caused the strange changes in your Yuan meridian. Chu Luiyue glanced at the bead, narrowed his eyes dangerously, and laughed softly. This thing seems to be able to devour the Yuan meridian, causing a deficiency in one's qi and blood. Fortunately, fourth young master has a high-grade Daijing Yuan meridian, or else, you might not even be able to hold on. Lin Qifei frowned. What is this? Chu Luiyue shook his head. I don't know. However, when he took her pulse earlier, he vaguely guessed that there was such a thing. At that time, I wanted to get rid of it directly, but it was very strange and agile. It created countless clones in your Yuan meridian and I couldn't capture it immediately. So, the most important thing in the pill you helped me refine just now is actually your own force? Lin Qifei asked. Chu Luiyue laughed and admitted frankly. Fourth young master is indeed smart. Actually, she had injected a stream of her flame into the pill. The greatest use of those medicinal herbs was to cushion the power of the flame she had left behind. If Lin Chi-Fei's illness could be cured with just a level 8 pill, then the celestial physician of the Lin family would have done it long ago. How would it be her turn to do it? She had purposely asked Lin Tianfeng to get the herbs and let him guard her personally. Chapter 1046. Totem. Lin Chi-Fei's expression froze. Chu Luiyue handed the bead over to him for him to see. On the gloomy black bead, there was indeed an extremely small pattern that reflected a faint glow. However, this pattern was very small. If one didn't look carefully, it was really difficult to notice. This is a totem, right? Chu Luiyue asked tentatively. She didn't have this feeling before, but ever since she came to the Divine Ruins world, Dugu Mabao had told her that these numerous sects and clans all had their own totems. And she had also seen the Lin family's totem on the light screen at the border of the Divine Ruins world. So the moment she saw this pattern, she had this guess. It was an indescribable intuition. That's right. This is indeed the totem of a certain clan. Lin Chi-Fei nodded affirmatively. It's just that. I can't tell which clan it is for the time being. The Divine Ruins world was vast and there were countless clans and sections. It was impossible to recognize the totems of each clan. Although he was the fourth young master of the Lin family and had a noble status in Heavenly Cave Cliff, it was limited to Heavenly Cave Cliff. After going out, there would be many terrifying existences like Heavenly Cave Cliff, or even stronger than them. It was really difficult to find out the origin of this totem in a short time. Chu Luiyue pondered for a moment. I wonder if Patriarch Lin can deny it after seeing it. He was experienced and knowledgeable, so he might know a thing or two. Lin Chi-Fei suddenly said. Miss Dugu, please don't keep this bead a secret for the time being. Chu Luiyue looked at him with slight surprise. When she saw his sincere and pleading expression, her heart skipped a beat. She didn't ask any more questions and nodded. Okay. It seemed that Lin Chi-Fei didn't even trust Lin Tianfeng, or rather, he was certain that there was something wrong with the people around Lin Tianfeng. Moreover, although this bead was small, once the investigation began and old accounts were dug up, who knew how many people in the Lin family would be implicated? It was normal for Lin Chi-Fei to be so cautious. Then, I'll keep this thing with me for now. Chu Luiyue asked. Lin Chi-Fei nodded in agreement. Sorry to trouble you, Miss Dugu. Chu Luiyue shook his head. It's just a small matter. After experiencing all kinds of trouble caused by the 2 Tian baby, it was really easy to deal with this kind of little thing. Lin Chi-Fei's lips moved as if he wanted to say something. There was a totem on the bead, and it was very likely that it would bring about unknown trouble. Most people would try their best to avoid getting involved with these people. Who would have thought that she would actually be willing to help like this? Then that's all for today. Have a good rest, fourth young master. De Bao and I will take our leave first. With that, Chu Luiyue bowed and left with De Bao. Wait. Seeing that the two of them were about to leave, Lin Chi-Fei suddenly shouted. Chu Luiyue turned around curiously. Fourth young master, is there anything else? Lin Chi-Fei paused. If nothing unexpected happens, that first-class teleportation array will be repaired tomorrow. Therefore, our departure time should be tomorrow. Chu Luiyue was delighted. That's great. She was worried that it would keep delaying. If they could go there earlier, they should still be able to make it in time. Lin Chi-Fei looked at the woman in front of him. When she heard the news, her eyebrows and eyes became lively. There seemed to be waves of light surging in her jade-like pupils, and also like stars twinkling. The curvature of his lips was definitely not fake. She should want to go there earlier, right? Lin Qifei's lips also curved slightly, revealing a very faint smile. Originally, he didn't care about these things, but it would be good if he could help her a little. Then we'll go back and pack first. Chu Luiyue smiled and said goodbye. Lin Qifei nodded. Chu Luiyue then left with Debao. After the two of them disappeared from sight, Lin Qifei slowly sat back in his chair. He closed his eyes and adjusted his breathing. After he recovered some strength, he stood up and said, "Water, prepare some water. I'll take a bath and change clothes." The smell of blood on his body was already stinging his temples faintly. The servant waiting outside the door heard and hurried in. When he saw Lin Qifei's face and body covered in messy blood, he was shocked. "Young master, it's fine, just go and prepare." Lin Qifei waved his hand. The servant saw that although he was in a sorry state, his spirit seemed to be much stronger than before. His previous decadence was swept away. He was also delighted and hurriedly responded, "Yes." The servant's movements were very nimble, and it didn't take long for everything to be ready. "Young master, please." Lin Qifei walked into the inner room. The servant followed beside him and couldn't help but say, "Young master, your body, has it recovered?" Lin Qifei paused for a moment. "It's better than before." The servant exclaimed. "That's great. I didn't expect Miss Dugu to be so amazing." Although her current level was not as high as the 9th grade celestial doctor of the Lin family, she was the most capable person to be able to cure the young master's illness. "I didn't expect an outsider to be so outstanding." Lin Qifei heard this and smiled faintly. There's no difference between the inner and outer worlds. In the end, it depends on the person. Even if she was unknown now, in time, she would definitely make a name for herself in the world of divine ruins. "Young master is right," the servant couldn't help but say as he waited on Lin Qifei. "Actually, there's one thing I don't understand. Young master, this Miss Dugu is already so outstanding, why would she still go and look for that heartless man? Wouldn't she be making herself suffer for nothing?" Lin Qifei thought back to her bright smile and fell into deep thought. Probably, after all, a night together as husband and wife means endless devotion for the rest of your life. Digression, add more tomorrow. Start waving your banknotes. Chapter 1047. On this side, Chu Luiyue solved Lin Qifei's problem and went back with Debao to wait for the arrival of the next day. However, Lu Yi on the other side was not so relaxed. Lin Tianfeng made it clear that he was on Lin Qifei's side. As long as Chu Luiyue could cure Lin Qifei's illness, then no matter what she did, he would try his best to protect her. What's more, in the end, this matter was provoked by Lu Yi first. If he didn't make the first move, Chu Luiyue wouldn't have fought back like this. Therefore, Lu Yi was in a disadvantageous position. After Lin Tianfeng expressed that he would not help, he sternly warned him and ordered him to never do anything wrong in the future. He even reprimanded Lu Yue. Such a series of actions completely suppressed the brother and sister's arrogance. Lu Yi originally wanted to argue a few more words, but he was forcibly pulled away by Lu Yue. Lu Yue didn't dare to let Lu Yi stay in the Lin family and simply went back with him. When she arrived at the Lu family, as soon as she entered the door, she ordered all the servants to leave. After everyone left, Lu Yue stretched out her hand and fiercely poked Lu Yi's forehead. "Do you have a brain?" Lu Yi's forehead was scratched by her sharp nails, and his anger and grievance erupted in an instant. "Sister! How can you treat me like this? Am I still your brother? It's because you're my brother that I scolded you like this. If someone else dared to do this, I would have sent someone to deal with it in private." Lu Yue looked at him with a look of disappointment. "Do you know how much trouble you'll bring us by doing this today? When I asked you before, who was the person who injured your men, you refused to tell me. I didn't expect it to be Dugayu. What were you thinking? Don't you know that she just became Lin Chi-Fei's celestial physician 2 days ago? How would I know this? Lu Yi also felt wronged and shouted. Who would have thought that such a lowly outsider would have such great means? Lin Tianfeng and his son were really stupid. Did they really think that Dugayu could cure Lin Chi-Fei's illness? That thing is in his body, Lu Yuer shouted in shock. Shut up. Looking at Lu Yuer's angry face, Lu Yi realized that he had said something wrong, and a trace of timidity and guilt appeared in his heart. If you dare to say such things again, you dash, Lu Yue raised her hand and wanted to slap him. She glared at him angrily for a while, but in the end, she couldn't bring herself to do it. She angrily sat down on the chair and slammed her hand on the table. Why do I have such a disappointing brother like you? It was one thing for him to cause trouble on a normal day, but now, he had actually caused trouble to this extent. Do you think it was easy for me to reach my current position in the Lin family? Louis scratched his head and stepped forward. Sis, don't be angry. You can't blame me for this, can you? It's all because of that Dugayu, she's too strange. Not only did she hurt my people, but she also took away my opportunity to go there. Sis. You have to avenge me. Speaking of this, Lu Yuer's heart was filled with resentment. She finally managed to persuade Lin Tianfeng to take Lu Yi with them, but who would have thought that they would be replaced before they left? That Dugayu does have some skills. She clenched her hands and muttered in a low voice, a trace of hatred flashed across her eyes. That's right. Sis, think about it. She's an outsider with a child. How did she manage to take on 8 of my subordinates by herself? Those people's strength is not weak. Lu Yue rolled her eyes. Since she can break in from the outside, she must be at least a demigod. Isn't it easy for her to beat up your men? Louis shook his head. Sis, do you think I didn't think of this? Because of this, when I sent people over, I had already selected the strongest few. He stretched out his finger. Among the 8 people, half of them are rank 9 martial artists, and 2 of them are peak rank 9. As for the rest, the weakest is a rank 8 martial artist. With such a lineup, is it not enough to deal with a fledgling demigod? Lu Yuer's expression changed slightly when she heard this. Besides, even if they are not a match for a demigod together, their strength should not be too far apart. How could they be beaten up like that? All 8 of them were beaten half to death, the tendons in their hands and feet were torn, and they were completely crippled. To be able to do such a thing, it was enough to show that Dugayu was vicious and merciless. What you said is not without reason, Lu Yue fell into deep thought. Besides, she's still a rank 7, no, she should be a rank 8 celestial physician now. It could be seen that Dugayu's talent in celestial physician was extremely high. Generally speaking, people with talent in this area would usually focus on research, and very few people would be distracted by martial artist cultivation. That Dugayu, I wonder how old she is. If she is really in her early 20s like she looks, and she's an outsider, then her talent and potential are really, Lu Yue muttered, and her heart was shocked. At first, she did not feel it, but now, the more she thought about it, the more she felt that this Dugayu was not simple. Sis, you must help me vent this anger. Louis pleaded. Lu Yue waved her hand in annoyance. Not now. Lin Tianfeng is watching closely, and besides, they are leaving tomorrow. Besides, if something really happened to Dugayu at this time, then the first to be suspected would be them. Let's put this matter aside for now, we will see the situation tomorrow. Lu Yi wanted to say something but hesitated, and could only reluctantly agree. A look of unwillingness flashed in his eyes. Night. The bright moon hung high in the sky, and a few stars shone in the sky. In the room, Chu Luyue sat cross-legged, cultivating. These 2 days, she had consumed a lot of her force, and if not for the support of the water droplet in her dantian, she might not have been able to hold on after refining the elixir. She closed her eyes, and her fair and charming face, under the reflection of the moonlight, looked even more translucent like jade. As she breathed evenly, the force of heaven and earth around her surged like a tide, constantly entering her body. After breaking through to the 7th rank, because she had passed the spirit-gazing stage and recovered the Tianjing Yuan meridian, the speed of cultivation was much faster than before. After a large cycle of force, Chu Liuyue's breath finally recovered. She gently exhaled, and immediately raised her right hand. A silver star suddenly appeared on her index finger. Then, the 2nd star. The 3rd star. After a while, one of Chu Liuyue's hands lit up with 5 stars, bright and resplendent. Then, a few streams of light flew out, connecting the 5 stars, and a faint glow enveloped her entire palm. At this moment, a strange sound came from outside the window. A biting cold murderous intent suddenly broke through the air. Chu Liyue suddenly opened her eyes. After all, the opponent was a demigod powerhouse, several levels higher than her. She had no chance of winning in a head-on fight. Just as Chu Liyue's mind was racing, Lu Yi, who was opposite her, was shocked. "You're not a god-level powerhouse." This wasn't a question, but a statement. In the world of divine ruins, almost all cultivators would use origin devices to cover their aura and hide their true strength. Ordinary people generally couldn't see anything. But as long as they fought, the cultivator's true strength would be revealed and couldn't be concealed. This was Lu Yi's first time fighting with Chu Liyue, so he immediately realized that something was wrong. Chi! Chu Liyue raised his arm and flung his triangular awl away. At the same time, a red flame quickly spread along the dragon abyss sword. It flew towards Lu Yi at lightning speed. Sensing a scorching aura coming towards him, Lu Yi knew that something was wrong. Taking a closer look, it was actually an abnormally hot red flame. He keenly felt that the pressure on the flame was extremely powerful and couldn't be underestimated. Then, he took a step back without thinking and poured his force into the triangular awl. Triple Een icicle. Several inch-long, thumb-thick icicles condensed and flew out. Both sides faced the attack head-on. Boom! The red flame that was originally only the size of a palm suddenly burned violently. It transformed into a barrier and blocked in front of Chu Liyue. The closer the icicles were, the slower they became. In the end, they actually began to silently melt. Lu Yi was shocked. This triple Een icicle was an extremely handy origin device for him. It was extremely powerful and almost invincible. However, when encountering this red flame, it actually had no power to resist. At this moment, Chu Liyue quickly swung his sword. A black light blade flew out. In the blink of an eye, it flew in front of Lu Yi. Lu Yi was extremely shocked and furious as he crazily circulated his force. Chi! Chi! Several icicles flew out again. This time, the number was several times more than before. In the blink of an eye, Chu Liyue's figure was shrouded. The black light blade blocked most of the attacks, but there were still a few that narrowly dodged and went straight for Chu Liyue. Chu Liyue held the long yuan sword tightly and was about to move when she found that the space around her suddenly became sticky and heavy. Her body seemed to be pressed down by something, and every movement was extremely difficult. This was Lu Yi using his divine power. Although I haven't completely stepped into the god realm, it's enough to deal with you. Seeing that Chu Liyue was forcibly suppressed, the nervousness in Lu Yi's heart finally dissipated. He couldn't help but sneer. "Don't worry, my icicles are bone-piercing cold. As long as one pierces your body, it can quickly freeze your entire body." Not long after, you can, what? Lu Yi's smug smile had just appeared when he saw the icicles hit Chu Liuyue's body. Not only did they not pierce her flesh, but they all shattered as if they were repelled by some force. He stared in disbelief and saw that Chu Liuyue's body was covered with a layer of pale golden armor. And those icicles that he had shot out earlier had been shattered by the impact of the collision. This armor, Louis had the Lin family behind him, so he had seen many good things. So at this time, he recognized at a glance that this armor was definitely not an ordinary item. To be able to block his attacks so easily, you have a lot of treasures on you. Louis was so angry that he laughed, and there was a hint of greed in his eyes. As long as he got rid of her, these things would all be his. Just as he was about to attack again, the woman in front of him suddenly spoke. Louis, have you never thought that since I'm not a God Realm master, how did your subordinates fall to such a state? Louis was stunned. Chu Liuyue showed a meaningful smile and looked behind him. Sorry to trouble you. Chapter 1049. Louis thought to himself, oh no. He immediately turned around and looked behind him. However, before he could see the scene in front of him clearly, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his head. Bang! His vision turned black, and he fell to the ground with a muffled sound. The room returned to its original calm. If it weren't for Louis lying on the ground with a bloody hole in his head, it would have looked like nothing had happened. Chu Liuyue lowered her gaze slightly, glanced at him coldly, and then gave him a thumbs up in admiration. Debao, you're amazing. On the opposite side, Dugu Mabao put down a chair expressionlessly. The chair was taller than him. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, no one would have believed that such a soft and cute child could pick up a chair and defeat a demigod powerhouse. He's just a demigod who used various methods to advance. His real combat power is actually similar to that of an ordinary peak 9th grade martial artist. Dugu Mabao commented indifferently. This was also why Chu Liuyue could barely exchange one or two blows with him just now. Chu Liuyue smiled and said, that's true. You've already dealt with the previous 8 people. What's one more? Recalling the scene at that time, Chu Liuyue was still full of shock. At that time, she and Debao were blocked by those people in a narrow and dark alley. They were attacked from the front and back, and the opponent's realm was all higher than hers. When the situation was about to get out of hand, Debao stood up. From the beginning to the end, Chu Liuyue didn't even move a finger. It wasn't that she didn't dare, but she didn't have time. By the time she realized what had happened, Debao had already taken care of the last person. If she had to say what she did putting people into boxes count? This was because Debao thought it was dirty, so he gave this dispensable task to Chu Liuyue. From the beginning to the end, he only used a brick. Thinking of this, Chu Liuyue's expression became a little complicated. Last time, it was a brick. This time, it's a chair. Debao, why don't I buy you a good yuan instrument? Dugu Mabao glanced at her coldly and said, don't worry. I'm afraid I'll lose face if I use an origin tool to deal with these people. Chu Liuyue. Pretend I didn't ask. She seemed to be overthinking things when talking to a terrifying existence who had condensed a divine body. However, speaking of which, when you concealed your aura at the beginning, I thought it was inconvenient for you to make a move. It's not convenient for me to attack, so I didn't use my godly power. Dugu Mabao said calmly. This divine body is enough to deal with these small problems. Chu Liuyue's mouth twitched. Small problem. She started to regret talking to Dugu Mabao about this. Every time she mentioned these things, her self-esteem and confidence would be crazily attacked. Cough. Chu Liuyue coughed and looked at the unconscious Lu Yi on the ground. What should we do with him? It felt like a loss to send him back just like that. Dugu Mabao said casually. Just destroy his primordial core. Chu Liuyue's eyes twitched. Really? She wasn't being soft-hearted, but, if he woke up in the future and found that he had become a cripple, he would definitely push all the blame onto her. Although he wasn't a threat, his sister, Lu Yue, wasn't easy to deal with. Even if she could rely on treating Lin Qifei to win a certain amount of bargaining chips, she was still alone and helpless here. She wasn't afraid of trouble, but she felt that there might be some unnecessary trouble when the time came. Dugu Mabao frowned. This Lu Yi was presumptuous and arrogant, and he had attacked her repeatedly. She didn't want to cripple him. Then what do you want? Chu Luyue broke into a bright smile and chuckled. There are many ways to punish a person. Why do you have to be so obvious? As she spoke, she took out a pill and forced it down his throat. What's that? Dugu Mabao narrowed his eyes. Soul-devouring pill. Chu Luyue clapped her hands. After using it, he will gradually lose all of his memories within a year. The first thing he will forget is what happened tonight. When he wakes up tomorrow, he won't be able to remember even if he wants to identify us. While his memories are in chaos, he will gradually lose his consciousness, and eventually become a cripple without reason and emotions. Dugu Mabao's demonic purple eyes seemed to flicker. His eyebrows relaxed, revealing a touch of satisfaction. That's more like it. Even if they were in a different body, he didn't want her to become soft-hearted because of it. Okay, now we just need to send him back. Chu Luyue was about to pull Lu Yi up and send him away, but suddenly stopped. She seemed to be thinking about something. Her expression was blank, and there seemed to be a dark tide surging in the depths of her black jade-like eyes. Dugu Mabao felt that something was wrong and immediately asked. What's wrong? Chu Luyue didn't respond. Dugu Mabao called her again. This time, Chu Luyue finally came back to her senses. She slowly turned her head, her movements a little stiff. And the expression on her face was very strange. Debeo. She spoke softly. Although she was talking to Dugu Mabao, her eyes were not focused, as if she was looking through the void. Dugu Mabao's heart skipped a beat when he saw her like this. What's wrong? Chu Luyue was silent for a while before she spoke softly, word by word. From my death in my previous life to my rebirth in this life, it seems, it has been exactly 1 year. Digression, it's the last day, please vote. Continue at 6 p.m. 200 monthly votes plus one more update. Chapter 1050. Dugu Mabao's eyes flickered slightly. It's just a coincidence. Really? Chu Luyue asked skeptically. At that time, your physical body was dead and your physical body was completely destroyed. Only a wisp of your soul was left, which was barely reborn into this body. What does that have to do with the soul-devouring pill? Dugu Mabao said lightly. Chu Luyue nodded thoughtfully. That's true, but, however, she still felt that there was something wrong with this matter. At that time, after she was reborn, she had even specifically asked about the time. That day was indeed exactly 1 year after her death. If it was a coincidence, was there really no deeper meaning? Let's send him back first, in case anything happens. Dugu Mabao urged calmly. Chu Luyue glanced at Dugu Mabao in front of her. She didn't know if he didn't want to talk about it with her, or if he was really uninterested, but she didn't ask further. Maybe, she was thinking too much. She nodded and put away her doubts. She pulled Lu Yi up from the ground. Let's go. The night passed silently. Early the next morning, Chu Luyue brought Dugu Mabao to the Lin family. When the guards saw the two of them, they bowed from afar, their faces full of smiles. Miss Dugu, you're finally here. Master and fourth young master are waiting for you. Seeing their reaction, Chu Luiyue understood that the news of Lin Qifei's recovery should have spread. Sure enough, after walking for a short while, she saw Lin Tianfeng, who had heard the news and came out to greet her. Seeing Chu Luiyue, Lin Tianfeng's face instantly stretched into a smile. Miss Dugu. Chu Luiyue smiled and greeted him. Master Lin, I'm not late, am I? You're not late at all. Lin Tianfeng was all smiles. Please come in. Ji Fei is packing his things so he didn't come. Miss Dugu, please don't blame him. Chu Luiyue raised his eyebrows slightly. How could this be? Although she knew that Lin Tianfeng favored Lin Qifei, she didn't expect it to be to this extent. She hadn't completely cured Lin Qifei yet. Lin Tianfeng's attitude towards her was much better than before. If he really waited for Lin Qifei to recover, he wouldn't know how to thank him. Chu Luiyue asked as he followed Lin Tianfeng inside. Is fourth young master feeling better today? Much better, much better. Lin Tianfeng hurriedly nodded, his eyes filled with undisguised excitement and relief. Miss Dugu is indeed amazing. This time, it's all thanks to you. Originally, he wanted to check on Lin Qifei last night, but the servant said that he had already taken off his clothes, so he didn't disturb him. But when he saw Lin Qifei this morning, he immediately felt the difference. Lin Qifei's body was indeed much better. This allowed him to finally relax his heart that had been hanging in the air all this time. When he saw Chu Luiyue again, his reaction was naturally different. Chu Luiyue chuckled. It's mainly because fourth young master has a good foundation and good luck. No matter what, I have to thank Miss Dugu properly this time. Lin Tianfeng sighed with emotion. As they spoke, the two had already arrived at Lin Qifei's residence. The servant was already at the door to welcome them. As soon as he walked in, Chu Luiyue saw Lin Qifei. Today, he wore a bamboo green brocade robe with a white jade belt around his waist. It was clearly an extremely simple outfit, but it had a clear and bright charm. Her face, which had always been pale, had a hint of color. Coupled with her eyes that seemed to have become clearer, she looked completely different from before. Without the existence of the strange bead, and the knot in his heart had been untied, he naturally recovered very quickly. Seeing him like this, Chu Luiyue was inwardly surprised. It could only be said that Lin Qifei's recovery ability was indeed stronger than she had expected. Without any obstacles, this kind of person's future path was bound to be very broad and bright. It was no wonder that Lin Tianfeng was so happy today. This should be the scene he wanted to see the most in the past few decades, right? It seems that fourth young master has really recovered. Chu Luiyue smiled as he walked forward. The indifference between Lin Qifei's eyebrows melted a lot. Everything depends on Miss Dugu. Last night was the most peaceful sleep I've had in years. I wonder, did Miss Dugu sleep well? Chu Luiyue's heart skipped a beat, and her smile deepened. Thank you for your concern, fourth young master. Debeo and I also slept very well. Lin Qifei nodded. That's good. Then, Chu Luiyue took the opportunity to take his pulse. Fourth young master's body has been damaged for several years. If you want to fully recover, you'll need to carefully rest for a period of time. Lin Qifei smiled. You've already endured so many years. What else can't wait? Hearing the two's conversation, Lin Tianfeng confirmed that Lin Qifei's body really did have a chance to recover. He turned slightly and took a deep breath, suppressing the tears in his eyes. Patriarch, fourth young master, everyone is already waiting in the front hall. The manservant came forward to report. It's time to go. Only then did Lin Tianfeng turn around and urge the two with a smile. Look at me, I almost forgot about this. Ji Fei, Miss Dugu, let's go. The few of them went straight to the front hall. When they arrived, there was indeed a group of people gathered. Chu Luiyue quickly glanced around. The three old men had obscure auras. They were obviously the elders chosen by the Lin family to go with them. Next to them stood three young girls. At a glance, all of them were beautiful and graceful. Moreover, the auras around the three of them were not weak either. It was obvious that they were carefully selected beauties, and they were excellent in all aspects. Chu Luiyue's gaze suddenly became a little strange. It seemed that these three were the candidates chosen by Heavenly Cave Cliff to participate in the Holy Sun's concubine selection. Seeing Lin Tianfeng and the others arrive, the people in the front hall immediately looked over and bowed in unison. "Greetings, Patriarch." Lin Tianfeng raised his hand and smiled brightly. "We're about to set off, so there's no need to be so formal." Seeing that he was so happy, the few of them looked at each other and then at Lin Qifei, who followed behind him. They all understood. Seeing that Patriarch is so happy, it seems that fourth young master's body has almost recovered. One of the elders laughed and asked. "It's all thanks to Miss Dugu." Lin Tianfeng laughed heartily. Hearing his affirmative answer, everyone in the room instantly looked at Chu Luiyue. This woman looked ordinary, and they heard that she was an outsider. Could she really be that powerful? Chu Luiyue seemed to be in a daze. Lin Qifei called out to her gently. "Miss Dugu. Miss Dugu. What are you thinking about?" Chu Luiyue came back to her senses and realized that everyone was looking at her. She smiled. "Nothing, I was just thinking that these girls are really very beautiful. His Highness the Holy Sun will like them very much when he sees them, right?" Chapter 1051. For some reason, Lin Qifei felt that there was something wrong with Chu Luiyue's tone, but he couldn't put his finger on it. On the other hand, the women looked delighted when they heard this. Although they knew that their chances of being selected were slim, who didn't like to hear beautiful words? Besides, no one could be certain about this kind of thing. If they were lucky, they would soar to the sky. "Thank you, Miss Dugu, for your kind words." However, there are many tribes participating in the Holy Sun's birthday banquet this time. Each tribe has selected the most outstanding women of the right age, so the competition is fierce. We still don't know what the outcome will be. Lin Tianfeng chuckled. In fact, he didn't have much hope at all. Among the many tribes, Heavenly Cave Cliff was considered to be at the bottom. Whether it was territory, resources, or other aspects, they couldn't compare to the other tribes. The three women today were carefully selected by them with great difficulty. At first glance, they might look good, but compared to the noble ladies carefully trained by the larger tribes, they were still incomparable. When the women heard this, they hurriedly restrained their expressions. "Miss Dugu is young and came from outside the realm. I didn't expect that she could really cure the fourth young master's illness. I heard that Miss Dugu is now an 8th grade celestial physician." An old man standing at the back suddenly spoke. His voice was solemn and carried an undisguised arrogance. Chu Luiyue looked in the direction of the voice. The old man's cheeks were thin and his hair was white. However, his eyes flashed with a shrewd and cold light. Ever since she and Lin Qifei came in, he didn't smile much. Moreover, he seemed to have a hidden hostility towards her. Chu Luiyue smiled as if she didn't notice anything amiss. She smiled and said, "I did break through to the 8th grade celestial physician 2 days ago. Senior, this is Elder Lu Ruhai." Lin Qifei said. "He is also the Lin family's current celestial physician, the Great Elder." Chu Luiyue immediately understood. So this is the celestial physician with the highest rank in the Lin family. According to Lin Tianfeng, it seemed that he was already peak rank 9. After knowing the other party's identity, Chu Luiyue immediately understood why the other party didn't like him. He was powerful and had a high status in the Lin clan. Lin Qifei's illness, which had not been cured for many years, was cured as soon as she came. Wasn't this a slap to his face? It was no wonder that he treated her like this. Chu Luiyue bowed. Junior Dugayu greets Senior Lu Ruhai. Lu Ruhai directly said, "There's no need for such formalities. Perhaps in the future, this old man will have many questions to consult Miss Dugu." These words sounded a little strange, but Chu Luiyue didn't care and just smiled. Elder Lin Mo, who had been talking to Lin Tianfeng at the beginning, came out to smooth things over. "Ha! Since everyone is here, then Patriarch, let's go, shall we?" Lin Tianfeng nodded. But then Lu Ruhai suddenly said, "Of course we're going, but, what's with that child?" Chu Liuyue's heart skipped a beat. Sure enough, she saw him staring coldly at Dugu Maobao. She pulled Dugu Maobao behind her and smiled politely. "Dabao is just a child, and he's always been obedient. He won't cause any trouble." "Oh. Are you sure?" Lu Ruhai lightly snorted. "You have to know how precious the quota to go to that place is. Since you cured fourth young master and will be accompanying him for a period of time, there's nothing wrong with giving you a quota. But this child... Elder Lu, according to this child's age, he won't take up a quota," Lin Tianfeng reminded. "This old man is naturally aware of this, but Patriarch, don't forget that His Highness, the Holy Sun, is holding a birthday banquet this time. At the same time, there will be a consort selection. Bringing a child to such an occasion, isn't it a little inappropriate?" Chu Luiyue smiled faintly, but there was no smile in her eyes. "Then according to what you're saying, do you want me to leave Dabao alone?" Lu Ruhai stroked his beard. "That's not impossible. Anyway, the Lin family still has the mistress, and there are many people in the family who can take care of the child. They won't treat him badly. This is convenient for everyone, isn't it?" Chu Luiyue sneered in her heart. "You want to take Dabao hostage? You've got a pretty good plan." He was afraid that if he angered Dabao, the ones who would suffer would be the others. Chu Luiyue couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with him. She looked directly at Lin Tianfeng and asked with a faint smile, "Patriarch Lin, what do you think?" Lin Tianfeng shook his head almost without hesitation. "No need. This child is still young. How can he be separated from his mother? With so many of us here, there won't be any problems. Dugayu came to the Divine Ruins world to take the child to find her husband. If they separated the mother and son, it would be too unkind." Although he was a little worried, Dugayu cured Ji Fei's illness, and he was willing to take responsibility. "Patriarch." This, Lu Ruhai wanted to say something, but Lin Tianfeng stopped him with a look. "All right, it's getting late. Let's set off as soon as possible." After he finished speaking, Lin Tianfeng directly left. Lu Ruhai's face was a little ugly, but he couldn't argue anymore. He frowned and looked at Chu Luiyue and Dugu Maobao, and then followed. Chu Luiyue touched Dugu Maobao's head. "Don't worry, I won't leave you no matter where we go." Dugu Maobao's eyes twitched fiercely, but when he heard this, he resisted the urge to explode. The group didn't say anything else and went straight to the teleportation array. Digression. Around 7:30 p.m. Star of the recommendation tickets and monthly votes, please come and verify the news as soon as possible. Chapter 1052. Perhaps it was because Chu Liuyue's current appearance was too ordinary, and she was an outstanding celestial physician. Or perhaps it was because Dugu Maobao was too soft and cute, causing the women's maternal love to overflow. In short, along the way, their attitude towards Chu Luiyue and Dugu Maobao was extremely good. Several people surrounded the two and asked a lot of questions. Obviously, they were very interested in the two of them. Chu Luiyue was fine, and chatted with them from time to time. Dugu Mabao's little face was cold, and his whole body exuded a cold air that kept people away. Unfortunately, with his current cute appearance and body, it was really not convincing. If not for Chu Luiyue's strict defense, Dugu Mabao's noble face would have been touched. In this way, after an extremely difficult period of time, they finally arrived at the place. Chu Luiyue raised her eyes and looked forward. This was a huge square. In the middle of the square, there was a circular black teleportation array. Some kind of pattern was engraved on it, that was the Lin family's totem. There were not many people around, but there were still several teams of guards guarding it. The standard was very high, and the atmosphere was solemn. After arriving here, everyone seemed to have become serious. There was a vague sense of awe. Lin Tianfeng looked around and frowned. "Where's Yu Er?" According to the rules, Lu Yu should have been waiting here early and sent them off. But at this time, everyone else was here, but Lu Yu Er was nowhere to be seen. The man in the lead stepped forward and said respectfully, "Master, Madam, she just left temporarily because of some special matters." What matter was more important than sending them to that place? Lin Tianfeng didn't need to think to know what was going on, and his face turned cold. Something happened to the Lu family again. This. The man hesitated for a moment and lowered his voice. "I heard that there's something wrong with young Master Lu's body. He's usually the most arrogant. What problem can he have?" Not only was Lu Yi insensible, but even Lu Yu was also fooling around. For the sake of her spoiled little brother, she even disregarded her duty as the Lin family's matriarch. Forget it. It wouldn't be too late to settle the score after they returned. As Lin Tianfeng spoke, he stepped onto the transmission array. Lin Qifei, elder Lin Mo, and the others followed closely behind. Then, there were a few young girls. Finally, it was Chu Luiyue and Dugu Mabao. This teleportation array was actually not very big. It seemed that only about 100 people could pass through at a time, but its aura was extraordinary. Just as Chu Luiyue was about to step forward, the women who had just stepped forward suddenly cried out in pain. One of them didn't pay attention and directly knelt on the ground. Her knee hit the ground hard, making a muffled sound. She was in so much pain that her face turned pale. Chu Luiyue narrowed his eyes slightly. This was obviously not a reaction that would be caused by a simple knock. It seemed like the other end of this teleportation array is connected to the other side. The pressure is naturally much stronger than other teleportation arrays. Elder Lin Mo hurriedly walked over and helped the woman up. Even people like us who have already stepped into the God realm find it difficult to deal with, let alone you. With Elder Lin Mo's help, the woman stood up with difficulty. As for the other two women, it seemed that they also managed to stabilize themselves with the help of the other two elders. It was just that from their expressions, it was clear that they were not very used to it. On the way later, remember to keep an eye on each other. The patriarch and the elders will also help you. Elder Lin Mo said comfortingly. Only then did the women feel more at ease. However, there was still some apprehension between their brows. Lin Qifei looked at Chu Luiyue and frowned slightly. Chu Luiyue did not notice this and pulled Dugu Mabao up. However, just as she stood up, she felt a heavy pressure coming from all directions. Danger! Alarm bells rang in Chu Luiyue's heart. Her true strength was only at the early stage of the 7th stage. How could she deal with this? However, at this time, she could not openly ask for Taizu's help. As for Dugu Mabao, this was even more so. Just as she was filled with anxiety, suddenly, the universe ring on her hand trembled slightly, and an extremely subtle fluctuation was emitted. Whoosh! That inexplicable pressure suddenly dissipated. All the burdens around Chu Luiyue seemed to have disappeared at this moment. Chu Luiyue looked down at the universe ring on her hand with some surprise. There was nothing unusual. Apart from her, no one else seemed to have noticed this slight change. She pursed her lips. This universe ring belonged to Rong Xiu, but it did not seem to be an ordinary universe ring. The reaction of this teleportation array, Miss Dugu, are you all right? Lin Qifei suddenly asked. Chu Luiyue looked up and laughed. I'm fine. Fourth young master, you don't have to worry. As she spoke, she looked at Dugu Maobao beside her. Debao, how are you? Dugu Maobao did not want to speak, but seeing her concerned expression, he finally said 2 words. I'm fine. What is this girl thinking? He had already recondensed his divine body. Of course, this teleportation array would not be a threat to him. She still asked that. Dugu Maobao shook his head helplessly. She really was a worrisome person. As they spoke, the 2 of them had already walked to the side of those people. At this moment, Chu Luiyue realized that they were looking at her and Dugu Maobao strangely. What's wrong? Chu Luiyue asked, puzzled. Lin Tianfeng's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. Are you guys really okay? It was fine if it was Dugu. After all, she was able to break in from the outside and had extraordinary strength. But this child. Why did it seem like he was not affected at all? Chu Luiyue roughly guessed what they were thinking, but did not say much. Lin Qifei curled his palm and smiled. It's good that you're fine. Father, let's go. Lin Tianfeng nodded and suppressed the doubts in his heart. The force around him gathered. Soon, a bright and resplendent pattern appeared above his head. It was also the Lin family's totem. Buzz, the teleportation array seemed to be urged by some kind of force and slowly started to turn. At the same time, thousands of miles away, several islands floated quietly. The rich force of heaven and earth condensed into white mist and floated lightly. Below them was the deep blue sea. Under the sunlight, it was sparkling and sparkling. At a glance, it was like a fairyland. On one of the islands, a few guards were guarding a teleportation array. Suddenly, a strange fluctuation came from the teleportation array. One of the guards widened his eyes slightly. Why does this seem like the aura of His Highness the Son of God? What nonsense are you talking about? His Highness's birthday banquet is about to begin. People from various tribes have already arrived. The main island is very lively. Why would His Highness appear here? A guard beside him immediately retorted. But, no buts. I heard that the one from the Tomb of Immortal Water is also here. The position of princess consort should be hers. Digression, finally, she waved her weak little hand. Those who have tickets must cast them out before 12 o'clock. So big. Chapter 1053. Wait. Just as Lin Tianfeng's group was about to set off, an anxious shout came from the distance. Dugu, you can't go. Hearing this voice, Chu Luiyue's heart skipped a beat and he looked up. It was Lu Yu. She was in a hurry, and her eyes were filled with anger. She rushed up to Chu Luiyue and was about to step onto the teleportation formation when she was stopped by a guard. Mistress, you can't go to the teleportation formation now. Lu Yu was furious and could only stand there, looking at Lin Tianfeng with grievance. Master! You can't take her. Lin Tianfeng frowned. What are you doing? Master, she injured Lu Yi and even poisoned him. You can't let such a vicious person stay by your side. What nonsense are you talking about? Lin Tianfeng was already dissatisfied with her, and hearing her lose her composure for Lu Yi, he couldn't help but feel even more annoyed. Lu Yu saw that the teleportation formation was about to start, and her heart was filled with anger and anxiety. She pointed at Chu Luyue, her eyes full of resentment. Dugayu. You know best what you've done. Chu Luyue smiled. Madam Lin, what are you talking about? Why don't I understand? You said that I injured young Master Lu and poisoned him, but Debao and I were resting at the inn last night and didn't go out. Do you have any evidence? Lu was furious. She heard the news this morning that something had happened to Lu Yi. She didn't want to go at first. After all, she still had to send off Lin Tianfeng and the others. But it seemed that the manservant who delivered the news was extremely flustered. She was worried, so she still went. It didn't matter if she didn't go. When she went, she found that Lu Yi's condition was indeed very bad. Not only was there a bloody hole in his head, but he was also running a high fever. He had been in a coma and was constantly muttering nonsense. Seeing him like this, she immediately guessed that he must have gone to find trouble with Dugayu and ended up like this. That was why she came to find trouble with Dugayu, wanting her to give her an explanation. But the evidence, was she going to tell him everything? They were in the wrong. Currently, the only person who could testify against Dugayu was Lu Yi, but his mind was muddled, and he couldn't say anything. Seeing that Lu Yue was speechless, Lin Tianfeng's tone became much harsher. Miss Dugu is an honored guest of my Lin family. How can you slander her like this? Don't let me hear such words again. Otherwise. Lu Yue bit her lips, the thick smell of blood permeating between her lips and teeth. This Dugayu is really good. By curing Lin Qifei, he easily gained Lin Tianfeng's trust and protection. If he let her go now, it would be difficult to deal with her in the future. But she was not qualified to go with him, Dugayu. I won't let this matter rest. The truth will be revealed one day. When that time comes, we'll see. Chu Luyue shrugged and chuckled. You're welcome. Looking at her relaxed expression, as if she didn't care about this matter at all, Lu Yue was fuming. But at this moment, the teleportation circle was fully activated. The teleportation circle shone brightly, and the few of them were instantly enveloped. Farewell, Master. As everyone respectfully sent them off, their figures disappeared. Looking at the empty teleportation circle in front of her, Lu Yue gritted her teeth. Dugayu. Don't think that you can just leave like this. Lin Tianfeng and the rest entered the space tunnel. Probably because the teleportation circle was of a very high level, and it was jointly built by the top experts, it was very stable. After entering, Elder Lin Mo took out a lantern. The bright light instantly illuminated the space where everyone was. Miss Dugu, just now, what happened? After a short period of silence, a woman finally couldn't help but break the silence. Hearing this, the others also looked over. Chu Liuyue's expression was normal, and she smiled helplessly. I don't know either. When I first came to Heavenly Cave Cliff a few days ago, I met that young Master Lu. At that time, there was a small argument, and it wasn't very pleasant. Today, Madam Lin suddenly acted like this, and I don't know why. The women looked at each other and nodded thoughtfully. Who in Heavenly Cave Cliff didn't know what kind of person Lu Yi was? Dugayu came from the outside world with a child, and she was considered to have no one to rely on. Why would such a person take the initiative to cause trouble? It must be Lu Yi who started it first, and now he's making the accusation. Miss Dugu, don't worry. Now that you've cured fourth young master, everyone in the Lin family has to be polite to you. There's nothing to be afraid of. That's right. With Miss Dugu's ability, why bother with such a person? That Lu Yi is used to bullying people. Someone will teach him a lesson sooner or later. The women comforted her. Looking at Chu Luyue, and then looking at Dugu Mobao, they all showed sympathy. Was it easy for a widow and an orphan? Thank you. I don't care about these things. Chu Liuyue's lips curved slightly. This trip is the most important thing to me. The women's eyes were complicated, and they all nodded. In fact, they had all heard that Duguyu came from the outside world to find her husband with her child. It was rumored that her husband was from the outside world, and by chance, he met and fell in love with Duguyu in the outside world, and they had a child together. Unfortunately, he never returned, and he actually abandoned the mother and son pair. All men in the world are the same. After eating and playing enough, they're bored. Miss Dugu, if you find that man this time, you must not be afraid. You must teach him a good lesson and let him know how powerful you are. That's right. Don't worry, we'll all be on your side. Although Miss Dugu is an outsider, her talent is outstanding and her strength is strong. That man is obviously blind to treat you like this. It's not easy to find a three-legged toad, but a two-legged man is everywhere. According to Miss Dugu's conditions, why would she worry about marriage? The women said angrily. Chu Luyue clenched her fist to her lips and coughed. Well, actually, he's not that bad. Before Chu Luyue could finish her sentence, the few women exclaimed in shock. Miss Dugu, don't tell me you still can't forget that scumbag. That can't be. That's right. This kind of man can't be. Chu Luyue, if they knew that the person they were scolding now was the holy sun that they longed to see, what would their expressions be like? And if that Honorable His Highness, the Holy Sun, heard these words, what kind of expression would he have? We're almost there. Lin Tianfeng suddenly said. Chu Luyue looked forward. A bright spot of light appeared at the end of the tunnel. The Yuntian Tower is in front. Since there's still some time left, all of you, why is there a child? He looked at Lin Tianfeng and frowned slightly. Patriarch Lin, I don't remember you having such a young child. Lin Tianfeng hurriedly waved his hand in denial. It's a misunderstanding. This child is not my Lin family's, but Miss Dugu's. She is my son Ji Fei's personal celestial physician, so she came with us. Many people knew that Lin Tianfeng favored his youngest son, Lin Qifei. It was rumored that he had always wanted to pass the position of patriarch to Lin Qifei. Unfortunately, Lin Qifei was born with a weak body and was a medicine jar. Many people were not very optimistic about this matter. However, Lin Tianfeng's attitude had not changed. It was expected that he would bring Lin Qifei and his personal celestial physician. But, the personal celestial physician was one thing, but why did he bring a child? Patriarch Lin, although this child doesn't take up a slot, it seems inappropriate for you to do this. This is the birthday banquet of His Highness the Holy Sun, and it's also a concubine selection ceremony. You. Lin Tianfeng coughed and lowered his voice. This, you don't know, but Miss Dugu has no relatives or friends, and it's really hard for her to take care of a child. I can't let her leave the child behind. I promise, I won't let the child run around and cause any trouble. How about, you make an exception? Seeing that Lin Tianfeng was pleading for leniency, the soldier could not say anything more. If that's the case, then, please be careful, Patriarch Lin. You also know that this is Yuntian Tower. When he said the last sentence, the soldier's voice became more serious, with a hint of authority. Lin Tianfeng hurriedly thanked him. The soldier waved his hand. The people of the other tribes have already arrived. You should go as well. Although Heavenly Cave Cliff was considered to be at the bottom of these tribes, they still had to do what they were supposed to do. After that, he waved his sleeve slightly, and a palm-sized white jade token appeared in the air. The token was engraved with the totem of the Yuntian Tower, and the edges were decorated with auspicious clouds. It shone brightly. The soldier said in a deep voice. The Lin clan of Heavenly Cave Cliff has arrived. Leader, please send someone to receive us. As soon as he finished speaking, a faint buzzing sound came from the token. Soon after, a silver ray of light flew out and extended in another direction. Chu Luiyue and the others looked in the direction of the stream of light. They saw a huge island floating quietly in the distance. It seemed to be at the center of this place, and it was also the largest island here. Whether it was in terms of scale or aura, it was indisputably a top existence. That should be the main island they were talking about, right? Just as this thought flashed through Chu Liuyue's mind, a stream of light suddenly flew out of the main island. Compared to the stream of light on the token, that stream of light was obviously much more majestic. Not long after, the two streams of light connected in mid-air, forming a bridge. Everyone, please. Lin Tianfeng was the first to leap up and land on the bridge. The rest of the people followed closely behind. The elders were still fine. After all, they had seen a lot of the world, so they were still calm at this time. However, even though the women tried their best to appear calm, the corners of their eyes and brows could not hide the excitement and curiosity. It was their first time here. The Yuntian Tower was a place that was unreachable for them. Now, using this opportunity, they could actually come here. It was like a dream. Chu Luiyue led Dugu Mabao and was the last to go up. Let's go. Lin Tianfeng took the lead and walked forward. At the same time, Rong Xiao was reading in the study. Suddenly, he paused and his thin lips curled into a faint smile. You're finally here. With that, he stood up and walked outside. Yan Qing saw this and quickly followed. Your Highness, do you really want to go personally now? How about this subordinate go first? Now that there are people outside, it is inevitable that His Highness will be seen. Rong Xiao raised his eyebrows slightly. I naturally have to go personally to welcome my own princess. Chapter 1055. Yan Qing cursed in her heart. His words were like gold and jade. He had already said that she was the princess, but he still wanted to hold a consort selection hall with great fanfare, as if it was real. When that person came and saw this scene, who knew what kind of reaction she would have? But since His Highness had decided to do this, as subordinates, they could only follow his orders. In a short time, countless possible scenes flashed through Yan Qing's mind. Perhaps he should also think about how he would not be implicated by His Highness when the time came. However, just as the master and servant walked out, before they could move, Umo hurried back from outside. Your Highness. Seeing Rong Xiao, Umo hurriedly bowed. Your Highness, Miss Jiang is here. She is waiting outside the hall at this moment, saying that she has something important to discuss with you personally. He did not mention her background or name. Just Miss Jiang was enough to explain who she was. This could only prove that this person's status was extremely high, and it was obvious who she was referring to. Rong Xiao did not stop walking, and his expression was indifferent. Let her wait. Umo was stunned for a moment. He looked up in surprise and glanced at Rong Xiao. It would be fine if His Highness did not want to see anyone else, but this person, then, Umo had a flash of inspiration as he suddenly thought of something. Could it be? He quickly looked at Yan Qing. Yan Qing nodded calmly. Umo understood. No wonder. It was really that person who came. Umo immediately swallowed the words in his throat. Since that person was here, everyone else had to step back. However, not long after Rong Xiao walked out, a sweet and gentle woman's voice was heard. Your Highness, where are you going? You are in such a hurry that you don't even want to see me. Rong Xiao stopped and looked sideways. A woman dressed in a long white dress was standing there charmingly. She was slender, and there were no extra accessories on her body. Only a thin blue jade belt around her waist outlined the curves of a young girl. Her face was like a peach, and her facial features were perfect. The most moving thing was the gentleness in her watery eyes. Her fine black hair was tied up in an exquisite bun with a sapphire dangling from it. She tilted her head slightly and shook it gently, as if she could stir people's hearts. Rongxiu narrowed his eyes and said calmly, "Jiang Jiwan. Why are you here?" As he spoke, his gaze fell on Umo. Umo was shocked and hurriedly said, "Your Highness, this subordinate asked eldest young Miss Jiang to wait outside and did not invite her in. This subordinate also does not know why she is here." The soldiers who were standing guard at the side were stunned. Only then did they realize that they seemed to have done something wrong. They hurriedly knelt down. "Your Highness, I have already set the rules. Without I's permission, no one is allowed to enter or leave this place. It seems like you guys don't have a good memory. Your Highness. Please spare my life, Your Highness. Strip him of his position and flog him 100 times. Rongxiu's voice was cold. "It's in front of the main hall. Carry it out immediately." Hearing his words, the soldiers' faces turned pale and they fell to the ground. "It's over," the smile on Jiang Jiwan's face froze. "Your Highness, what are you doing? They only let me in because they saw that it was me. In the past, I could come and go freely when I came here. I have never, that was in the past." Rongxiu looked at her deeply. "When the clan leader lived here, you could do whatever you wanted. But now, this is I's palace. Naturally, I have the final say. I believe that this time, eldest young Miss Jiang should also remember this rule, right? Digression, continue at 6 p.m. The list of names for August's periphery will be announced tomorrow. Chapter 1056. Jiang Jiwan's face slowly turned red. Tears welled up in her eyes and the tip of her nose stung. She bit her lip and tried to calm herself down, but her voice still sounded like she was about to cry. "I didn't know Your Highness hated me so much." Originally, she was overjoyed when she came here. Her mind was filled with thoughts of what would happen after their meeting. She rarely came here in the past few years. She hadn't seen Rongxiu for 2 years. She had imagined countless scenarios, but none of them were as embarrassing as the one before her. Her face felt like it was on fire. It was burning with pain. The gazes of the people around her were like steel needles piercing her body. She wished she could disappear from this place immediately. She didn't expect that he would embarrass her like this. Compared to Jiang Jiwan's shock and heartache, Rongxiu didn't take this matter to heart. In the past, when the clan leader was in power, he indulged her in every possible way. But now, it was different. Jiang Jiwan's status wasn't low, but this was the Yuntian Tower. She couldn't do as she pleased. "Yumo, stay here and watch them finish their punishment." "Yes." Yumo wiped the sweat off his forehead. He couldn't help but look at Jiang Jiwan with a trace of dissatisfaction in his heart. Does this young miss still think that the Yuntian Tower today is the same as the Yuntian Tower a few years ago? Wasn't she a little too bold? She actually dared to barge in like this. She really doesn't treat me as an outsider. Rongxiu finished speaking and was about to leave. Seeing that he was about to leave, Jiang Jiwan couldn't help but shout again. "Wait! Your Highness, do you really not want to see me that much? We haven't seen each other for years." Rongxiu wanted to nod directly, but he chose to be merciful for the sake of the Jiang clan. "I have something important to do." Jiang Jiwan was slightly stunned. "What is so important that Your Highness needs to do personally at this time?" In a while, the banquet would begin. What was he planning to do? Rong Xiu's eyes seemed to be covered with a thin layer of frost. Miss Jiang, are you questioning I? Jiang Ji1's heart tightened. No, I'm not. I'm just asking casually. It's fine if your highness doesn't want to tell me. Seeing that Rong Xiu really had no reluctance and was about to leave, she gritted her teeth and took a step forward. Your highness. I'm here because I have something important to discuss with you. Rong Xiu seemed to have no intention of paying attention to him. He turned around with an indifferent expression. It's related to the academy. Jiang Ji1 shouted. Rong Xiu paused and looked back at her. His deep eyes seemed to be able to see through everything. Speak. Chu Luiyue and the others walked along the silver bridge. After about 15 minutes, they arrived at the main island. When they got closer, they could see everything on the main island more clearly. This island was huge. There were mountains and forests, rising and falling continuously. On these mountains, there were several palaces scattered like stars in the sky. On the highest peak in the middle, there was a magnificent palace towering majestically. Chu Luiyue and the others arrived at the bottom and edge of the main island. Therefore, if they wanted to see the palaces, they would have to look up. Because they couldn't see very clearly. Coupled with the white fog, they could only see a corner of the palace. However, even at such a distance, they could still clearly feel the ancient and vast pressure. It was a power and aura that almost made people submit to it from the depths of their souls. Master Lin, a soldier in charge of receiving them, stepped forward. Judging from his clothes and aura, he seemed to be a level higher than the leader who sent them here. I'm Hu Yang. In the following period of time, it will be up to me to explain everything that has happened here. Thank you in advance, Master Hu. Lin Tianfeng smiled. Master Lin is too polite. As Hu Yang spoke, he put away the white jade token. Everyone, please follow me. Master Lin, you are the last to arrive. The other tribes had already rested in their respective palaces, waiting for the saint's birthday banquet to begin. Hu Yang said as he led the group forward. If we were any later, you ladies would not have made it. Lin Tianfeng smiled apologetically. We were delayed because of some matters. Please don't blame us. Master Lin, you don't have to worry about this. His Highness won't care about such trivial matters. Hu Yang shook his head. Then, Lin Tianfeng and Hu Yang chatted for a while and soon arrived at their destination. This was a relatively short mountain peak, and a palace was located on top of it. Although it was called a palace, it was far inferior to the ones above. This is the Wind Lotus Palace. It will also be the place where you will rest for a period of time. Hu Yang led them over. Suddenly, a burst of bell-like laughter came from the side. It seemed that a few women were excitedly discussing something at the corner of the palace. The Yuntian Tower is indeed extraordinary. Everywhere is extremely expensive. I heard that the cup of tea we just drank cost 100,000 white crystal coins per tael. Really? That's really. If only we could live here for the rest of our lives. What's the point of living here? The ones above are the real good places. Do you see the one at the top? Rumor has it that that's the saint's palace. Ah, that's not a place where just anyone can go, isn't that simple? Now that the saint is choosing a concubine, as long as you are chosen, sure. Lower your voice. You really aren't afraid of being overheard. Although there are many outstanding women from the various tribes, who doesn't know that the position of concubine has already been decided? Hearing this, Chu Luiyue raised his eyebrows slightly. You mean, the one from the Immortal Water Mausoleum? Other than her, who else could it be? Rumor has it that she is a stunning beauty, and she was born with a rare Tianjing Yuan meridian, just like the saint. That's not all. You must know that the Jiang clan in the Immortal Water Mausoleum is the most powerful existence among all the tribes. Moreover, the old clan leader of the Yuntian Tower has a close relationship with the Jiang clan, and he has always doted on Miss Jiang. When she was young, she spent most of her time at the Yuntian Tower. It's probably because the old clan leader is in seclusion and she is diligent in her cultivation that she has less contact with the Yuntian Tower. With these conditions, do you think that the position of concubine will fall into her family's hands? If that's the case, then why does the saint still choose a concubine with such great fanfare? Can't he just get engaged to Miss Jiang directly? Who knows? Anyway, we're just here to serve as a foil. Besides, even if the concubine can't be chosen, there are still concubines, right? At the very least, there are concubines. As long as she is chosen, she won't have to worry for the rest of her life. I've heard that the saint is unparalleled in his handsomeness, like an immortal. I wonder what he looks like. Chu Luiyue stroked his chin. Oh. Concubine. 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 So the Holy Son's life was actually so good. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.